What up, what up, what up, sports fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. I got my guys, the Horsemen with me, Zion Zenith, NYG Jeffy T85, Adam Costas. Y'all know what it is. It's the Premium Takes Podcast. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. How y'all doing out there? How the Horsemen doing today, man? Happy Easter, everybody.
Absolutely. Happy Easter
Thank
to
you.
all of you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you guys are out there enjoying time with your family, with your friends, whatever you guys are doing, however you guys are celebrating Easter, even if you don't celebrate Easter, whatever you're doing today. Hope you guys are having a blessed day. Hopefully, my fellow co-host is having a blessed day. We're excited to get the show started. Thank you for being here with us.
Happy Easter, everybody. Hope you've had a very blessed and happy Sunday with your friends, family, and loved ones.
Happy Easter, and thank you for tuning in.
Well, here you go. The Horsemen here to talk that sports talk with y'all like we do each and every Sunday. And we're going to get right into it, man. Last night down in Miami, Florida, UFC 287 was going down, and the main card was off the hook. 5 matches on the main card. You absolutely got your money's worth, man. 3 knockouts, 2 decisions, one epic knockout in the main event, and also a legend hanging it up, calling it a career, man. Talking about Jorge Masvidal, man. Went out like a soldier, man, but just knows it was time to say it's time to that's it. Can't really bring no more to the sport, and then just weren't gonna go ahead and take care of his own personal well-being and hang out with his family and count his millions, man, like he said in his final interview in the Octagon last night. But Zion, man, I know you want to dig into this UFC pay-per-view last night. It was absolutely off the chain. Let them know, brother.
Hey, Coach.
Absolutely, Mac. Thank you for that. Yeah, I've been itching to get into this. And first off, what an amazing, great card we had. I just want to talk about the card, the pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, but basically the main event on the prelims. Kelvin Gastelum, I had Chris winning this fight and Chris Curtis basically, and I really had Chris Curtis coming in and knocking Kelvin Gastelum out. The reason why I'm talking about this is we've seen the Kelvin Gastelum that was fighting for the championship, Kelvin Gastelum. We've seen this 38-year-old, something awoke with him. Now, for those of you who may not have followed MMA as deeply that still watch the show, or for some of maybe our co-hosts to kind of give you guys a backstory on it, not to take too long, but Kelvin Gastelum is 1-5 in his last 6 fights. And he's fighting, I believe, 2-5 in the last 6 fights. And he's been taking a lot of losses, but then he's still a good level opponent where he can still get matched up against good competition and put on good fights. But he just seemed to be a little bit washed. 38 years old. A lot of people thought he's done. You know what I'm saying? But when he came out, like, you could put Kelvin Gastelum in a top contender fight right now. You know what I'm saying? He can fight a top 5 guy in the division right now. So I just wanted to say a little shout out to Kelvin Gastelum for, executing what he did last night, because he looked phenomenal. He was 38, but he is damn moving like he was damn near 29 or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it looked amazing. And believe me, I believe Kelvin Gastelum's 38. I might have got my age mixed up with Masvidal. But Mac, did you see this fight by any chance?
I didn't catch any of the prelims, man. I was at work, so I didn't get to catch any of the prelims. But I just got home for the main card.
Absolutely. But we're going to talk about the main card right now. Excuse me if I got Kelvin's age wrong, fam. But if you guys didn't, and go check it out on UFC ESPN Plus. Let's get into the main card. I guess I want to just ask you, Mac. I don't know how much you heard about this kid, but a lot of people praise this kid. And, Christian was a kid that a lot of people just overlooked. One of the reasons why people praised Royce Jr. is just what he's been able to do. If we click on his name here, he's been able to just demolish competition in a way of submission and 1 TKO. But at the end of the day, who has really been fighting? And at the end of the day, he's so young that he's only 18. I do want to get your thoughts on this fight. All I'm gonna say on it is the kid will develop. He's only 18. He was in there against a grown man that's 25 that had, had better experience than him. And one thing I'm gonna say to Junior, I love the confidence, but you don't go out there and don't say you're gonna take this division's championship, you're gonna take that division's championship, you're gonna take that. No, hold up, dude. Be humble, stay humble, man. You're gonna be great one day, dude. But dude, that's just too much, too fast, man. You have to respect the game. That's not respecting the game if you say you're gonna go out there and win all of this. There's
But can I ask a question? I'm not a huge UFC guy, they know, but I want to. What do you want the kid to say? He's 18 years old. He's trying to come into a division where grown men are on his side. So I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's all.
That's a good question. I'm gonna finish off. I'll let Matt go. But you wanted to answer that, Matt? You're more than welcome to.
No, I was just gonna say, so like, here's the thing. He's young, he's cocky, he kind of has a right to be, man. He came in, he was the favorite in this fight. But the issue is what you already said the main word. You said the key word already, Zion. This was experience he was going up against. He underestimated the experience of Christian Rodriguez, and that was his downfall. He came out too hot in this fight. He expended absolutely all his energy in the first round, trying to finish Christian in the first round. It did not work. And in the second and third round, Christian took this fight over and he won a decision. And that's exactly how it went down. That's just his lack of experience, his lack of maturity. Yep. This kid is going to be an absolute star. He's going to be an absolute star. But he just right now, this is a humbling experience for him.
Humbling.
And hope he learns from this mistake.
Go ahead.
If you look at that, then Zion's point is almost right, where it's like, well, instead of saying you're going in with overconfidence, maybe that's what Mac is talking about. Because of his overconfidence, he thought he probably saw something where he could take the guy out real quick, and that bit him in the back end because he didn't have the experience to fight longer, so he didn't know what to do to adjust in the second round. So if you want to talk about that, I can't fault the guy for being cocky. I know we do it all the time, but absolutely. I feel like sometimes you need some bravado, especially when you're a young fighter.
And you're absolutely facts on that. And Mac, you said it perfectly too. We can move on after this. It's one thing to say, I want to come and I'm going after the belt. I'm going after the belt. That's one thing. But when you say there's not, Adam, to kind of give you the backstory, there hasn't been a 3-time champion in the UFC yet. There's been multiple 2-time champions, but there has never been 3-time champions. So I love the confidence, but now there's the thing about being confident in yourself and then setting realistic expectations for the moment. You know what I'm saying? For the moment, let's just try to climb your mountain first before you can go climb that other mountain and then that other mountain. You know what I'm saying? It's like a climber that's starting off, that's just saying, I'm going to go climb Mount Olympus. No, I'm sorry, Mount Everest. You can't climb Mount Everest, bro. You're just starting off hiking. Let's just climb this little cliff and then let's work our way up. If you want to be confident and be like, yo, I'm gonna get to the top of this cliff. I'm gonna beat every competitor to the top of this cliff. Absolutely. But you can't just say I'm gonna beat the game on the hardest difficulty when you didn't beat the game on easy yet. You know what I'm saying? Let's move on in that.
At the end of the day, I'm okay with the kid's confidence. It's just that absolutely. He just a step up in class, and he learned a valuable lesson. Like I said, he went out there and he made his best effort to try to finish Christian Rodriguez off in that first round, and he damn near did. He damn near did finish him off in the first round, but he expended so much energy trying and failing in that regard. That second and third round, I mean, he came out halfway pretty okay in the early part, second round as well. But by the second half of the second round, Christian took over, and then the whole entire third round just absolutely dominated. So, I think this is just, like I said, this is a learning experience. Early in this young man's career, he is going to be an absolute star. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be the next big thing in the UFC, but he's got a bright future ahead of him. And I think this is a big learning experience for him. So I'm excited for him going forward.
Why don't you start us off with that Kevin Holland win? You got a chance to see that.
Another very
Absolutely.
impressive performance by Kevin Holland here, man. Absolutely impressive. This big third round knockout. Still, I'm probably gonna pronounce his name wrong. Ponzinibbio, I believe is how he pronounces it.
That's perfect.
He's a warrior. He's an absolute warrior in the octagon, man. And the one thing that it bothered me at the end when he got knocked out to try to get up and start arguing with the referee like it was a bad stoppage. It absolutely was not. Ponzinibbio was knocked out before he even hit the damn mat. It was clear as day. I mean, this man was knocked out. He took the hammer fist. It could have gotten really, really ugly. That was a great stoppage by the official. Nothing at all. I have no problems with that stoppage. Kevin Holland, man, he's just continuing to rise, though. Continuing to rise up the welterweight ranks in the UFC, man. This guy, I'm excited to see him going forward, continuing on with this journey, man. He's a fun fighter to watch, man. He keeps getting better and better and better. So it was just a great fight overall, man. Great knockout.
Well,
how do you feel about it, Zion?
Absolutely. Not to spend too much time on it. I just love the fact that everything you said was correct. Not to echo that. I just love the fact that he stopped in the middle of the fight, obviously doing Kevin Holland things, talking to Trump, talking to Dana White, just doing Kevin Holland things, still come out there, get the knockout. Let's get it. Good job on Kevin. This really made me mad. I have to admit, I was an Adrian fan. Like I thought this kid still can. But I mean, like this kid was just on a tear. Like I'm like, yes, we've got another one. What is with all these ads? We got another one. He's on the tear, and it's just sad. It's not sad, obviously. It's not sad, and it's not like the first fight. It's not like the Rodriguez and Junior fight. He was game. He was game. He had Wild Fawn hurt the whole time, and not the whole first round, should I say, is coming out there. He was doing what Adrian did best, and saying like, and Wild Font, man, veterans do what veterans do. He took everything that the kid had and then he gave it back. And then when he gave it back, he showed some young Wild Font that we hadn't seen for a while. And that's why I give Wild Font his respect. Like, I hate the fact that, Adrian, he basically took that. Now, okay, you was probably right there in 3-4 fights for 5 fights, basically fighting for the championship. And now let's just reset that. And, that's the game of MMA. That's how it goes. Highly a favorite, majorly upsetted. But shout out to Wild Font, man. Vicious on what he did. And I can't say anything nicer than that, man. Congrats to Wild. What do you think about that fight?
Give me 1 second real quick. Coach Darren Caldwell is still fighting. He's does a lot. He fights in Bellator. Not really doing too much UFC stuff. He's been on the Bellator stage as of late. But as far as this fight, absolutely the upset of the night right here. This was the shocker of the night, the biggest head scratcher. Not only did he knock him out, he knocked him out in the first damn round. So, it was like you said, it's unfortunate for Adrian, man. It's definitely going to be a step back because he definitely needed this victory here last night. And it's once again, like I said about what you called earlier, it's a learning experience, man. You live, you learn, and you got to move on. And you got to keep plugging away, man. UFC, we've seen UFC over the years, man. It goes down, and you never know what can happen, man. But he's going to pull himself back up out of this because that was it was a kind of bad L. The fight he definitely should have won. Like Zion mentioned, he was a heavy favorite. This was definitely the upset special of the night, and the fact that it was a first round KO is it was rough. But hey, that's the UFC, man. That's why you love this sport, man.
It's absolutely why I love this sport. And one thing that I love about this sport is exactly what you just said about Rochas, about Giannis. In boxing, you get 3 wins, it's a wrap. Sometimes you get 2 wins, it's a wrap. It's 2 losses. Sorry. You get 3 losses, it's a wrap. Sometimes you get 2 losses, it's a wrap. The UFC, you can be a veteran with 17 losses and still sell out. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, everybody was here to see, Izzy the main event, but most people was here to see Masvidal. And I'm gonna let you just begin. We
do have some breaking news.
What's the breaking news? Let's get it.
Odell Beckham Jr. to the Ravens.
Oh yes. We are going to get that news, and it is a segment coming up on the show, guys. So yes, we are going to get into that, and that is confirmed now. Adam just confirmed it. OBJ just signed with the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to get into this. after our WWE segment. So stay around. We're wrapping up UFC. We're gonna wrap up WWE, and then we'll get into that. Go right ahead, Mac.
Well. We got a fight between two absolute warriors of the octagon right here, man. This is what the epitome of the UFC right here. This is what it's all about, man. Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal, man. Jorge, coming into the fight, most pretty much knew that if Jorge lost this fight, that he was pretty much going to make this one his last. And just what to say, I kind of didn't really expect Jorge to get this dub, man. It's been kind of trending downward lately, as of late, but that's you getting up there in years, 20 years in the octagon, man. That's a long time be getting your head beat in, So, shout out to Jorge, man. Like you said, he just go ahead and ride off into the sunset and count his millions, man. But he is definitely a legend. He's definitely a future Hall of Famer in the UFC, man. And he's just one of those special talents that's going to be missed in the octagon, man. Gilbert Burns just doing what he does, man. This dude is just absolute machine. Gilbert Burns is definitely one of the top stars right now, man. And this was just it was a great time seeing these guys in the octagon last night, man. It was a good fight, but it was dominated by Gilbert Burns. It wasn't really there was no doubt that he was going to get that decision once the fight went the distance, But Jorge Masvidal, he still hung in there. He stood his ground. He still went out on his own terms like a soldier, man. And just shout out to another great UFC legend, man, riding off into the sunset. He had his family there, and it was good. It's a good visual to see, man. And like I said, his post-fight interview said it all, man. He said it all. It was great. Great for Jorge. I'm proud to say I got to watch this man for most of his career. Jorge Masvidal doing great things in the octagon, man. Great career for Jorge, man, and happy for whatever's next for him.
I have a question. What would you consider his legacy in terms of being one of the all-time greats? Would you list him as like a top 3 UFC all-time great, or would you probably put him in somewhere in that upper tier, but not quite to like, the all-time legends in terms of the top UFC fighters of all time?
I think what you just
and you can share your opinion on it too, Matt, please. So I would say in the UFC it's kind of different. Yeah. It's kind of different. So like in the UFC, we have your clear out, like your GOATs. We call it the Mount Rushmore, the GOATs. So your GOATs would be people that would be the best in the world. So that would be your John Jones of the world, your GSPs of the world, your Khabibs of the world, your Amanda Nunes's of the world. And then we have our somewhat fan favorite category legend prize fighters. That would be your Masvidals of the world, your Donald Cerrone's of the world, your Diaz brothers of the world. And then we have and don't get me wrong, they all can cross categories. Just because you're in one category doesn't mean you can't be in your other category. Then we have I would say I had the word, but I just lost it. Your movers of the company. You're not really your trendsetters. Not that, but basically your people that come in and
talents, like transitional talents.
Yeah, that makes the company better. That would be your Ronda Rouseys of the world, your Conor McGregors of the world. If there was no Ronda Rousey, there wouldn't be a females division. If there was no Conor McGregor, the UFC, I'm dead ass. The UFC, you're pioneers of the sport. And that comes down to your Royce Gracies, your Conor McGregors, your Chuck Liddells, your Ronda Rouseys.
Ken
so
Shamrocks.
When you talk about your Ken Shamrocks, exactly, your Ken Shamrocks. So when you talk about
what's her name, Holly something, she's the one that beat
Holly Holmes.
Holly.
Is that who
Holly Holmes?
Holly Holmes is on her.
Yes.
Holly Holmes is maybe Holly Holmes is a great fighter, but she doesn't fit in any of those categories.
Okay.
But Masvidal is but she does fit in the category of a legendary fight because in the UFC we do Hall of Fame fights. So she does, I believe, will have a fight knocking out Ronda in the UFC Hall of Fame for that clip, and she will probably
She'll always be famous for that. She was the one that kind of, pretty much push Ronda out of business, basically. After
Ronda WWE.
Jeff, you kind of have a point. She would kind of fit in a little bit of a pioneer because I can't take that from her. But to answer, I know that was long, but to answer your question, George Masvidal will fit in that fan favorite legend prize fighter category. Like
Okay.
if you wasn't as popular as George Masvidal, you're not getting a co-main event with 17 losses. You're not getting booked to fight Gilbert Burns, one of the contenders in the division, with 17 losses. You know what I'm saying? And if you
Yeah.
look at his entire career, what makes it so special is from those 50 fights, there's no you look at since his fifth fight on legends. Like I mean talking names after names after names, and that's why they're considered prize fighters. You know,
Never
they're
back
fighting the
down
best
from
from the
anybody.
best. Yeah, absolutely. And let's go into the main event because Mac touched on
Whew.
that fight beautifully. Gilbert Burns looked like a contender, but god damn it. Bam, bam, bam. I'm gonna let you start off. Let's go.
Whew, Israel Adesanya, he took that monkey off his back,
Bam.
man. Alex Pereira has been a thorn in this man's side, and he finally got some get back last night. This was one of the most epic knockouts you ever want to see, man. I mean, he said in his post game interview that he was like, post fight interview that he was, playing a little possum, and maybe he was, but Pereira was getting him with those leg kicks, and he definitely had felt one right before he knocked Pereira out, man. He felt one of those kicks. You saw him stumble a little bit, but then all of a sudden Pereira got careless, man. He got careless, and you can't get careless against the last style bender, baby. He found out why last night. He went in there, tried to call himself. I guess he thought he had an opening to finish Adesanya, and he learned the hard way. He got caught. He got caught big time, and he was rocked. And I mean, when he got knocked out, I honestly thought that he was seriously injured the way he was laying there. He laid there for a few seconds, for a minute or so, like he was absolutely dead, motionless, knocked completely out. It was one of the most
Entered the
epic
shadow
knockouts
realm.
you ever want to see, man. I mean, Adesanya, his celebration was a little bit much for my personal taste. You got to make sure a guy's all right before you start all that kind of extra stuff. But I guess that's the way of the UFC. You know what I mean?
So
I guess
it's a
that's the way of the
TKO,
UFC.
Mac.
It was a KO. So
I
a
mean,
TKO is
okay.
when the referee stops it.
Okay.
It was a straight
this was
face bouncing
a
off the fucking canvas.
knockout.
Sorry for cussing.
Like I said, he looked like he was dead.
Bad.
He lay there like he was dead.
And the reason
For
I'm
about a
doing that
minute
is after he's
before they
dead,
got
so
him off
Izzy
the
lost
canvas.
two times in boxing. So Alex Pereira is considered, some would consider him in the top 15 best kickboxers of all time. Won two championships in kickboxing. So did Izzy, but Alex Pereira has Izzy's number in kickboxing. Izzy was somewhat winning, basically won the first fight, but the judges gave it to Alex, so that's one loss. Then Alex knocked him out in boxing. That's two losses. Then Izzy came over to the UFC. Basically, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mac. I don't know if you're finished. Basically, created his own demon, saying that this guy wasn't, he was gonna always be remembered. Of the guy who could have been something, and I took it. Like he was basically saying that knockouts means nothing because he's gonna retire. This is when he wasn't really This is when Izzy was mostly like entering the UFC prime of his career, and before Alex kind of blew up in a sense of MMA, right? So he kind of created his own demon then because Alex basically followed him to MMA, started training MMA, and shot up the rankings because the way this guy would knock people out, they would literally fly like fucking 3-4 feet, like boom, like. And he's doing people like Strickland. Like Strickland has some of the best striking in the game, and Strickland is just out cold on the canvas. So Pereira got the title shot, and then he beat Izzy. Izzy was winning the fight, the whole fight. And Izzy's not a guy that's going to coast. Izzy's the guy that's going to swing to the whole way to the finish. Izzy was swinging to the finish in round 5. He got, I wouldn't say lazy, but he got caught. People get caught, he got caught. And it was a technical knockout. The referee had to pull Pereira off of him, right? So Izzy, we appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy.
Oh, for real. Shout out to Randy. Izzy basically lost his title, and Izzy was 23 and 0 in the middleweight division, only losing one time when he moved up to middleweight. To light heavyweight. So when Pereira beat him, it basically set the world on fire, right? So for him to come back, and the reason why he fired those 3 hours at the end of the fight is because of the fact that he lost 3 times. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and now, and like Max said,
Tudo.
what's up, Tudo in the house? Let's get it. Like Max said, man, Alex Pereira was just knocked unconscious, hoping that he was alight. I think we covered that. Mac, I don't know if you have anything else to say about that event. I think we've covered it pretty good.
Good. I mean, just congratulations, Israel Adesanya, the last style bender, back to the top of the mountain in the middleweight division in the UFC, man.
Absolutely. And I think Pereira moves to 205 and try to go dominate there. We'll see what happens. Absolutely. I love that. Exactly. Let's get into that real fast, Randy. Once a dog, the chain came off at the press conference. Basically, he had a chain on, a dog collar on, basically, and the press asked him, "What is that on your neck?" And he's basically, "This is a dog collar." And then they're like, well, what do you mean? He's like, "This comes off on Saturday." Shout out to, I believe it was Jet Li Unleashed, when Jet Li took the dog collar off. And you guys know what happened. So let's get it. I know Max the host, I know you wanted probably to transition into the WWE, but I asked the boys if I can kind of cover this real fast. So I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Endeavor, basically a big multimedia company in the Los Angeles area, has basically acquired the rights and had bought the WWE from Vince McMahon. Now, what that means is basically these are the same owners of the UFC. When Endeavor bought the UFC, they bought the UFC at $4.2 billion. And the UFC's value today is a $12.2 billion company. And that happened about 6-7 years ago. So now, what does this mean to the WWE? What does this mean to the UFC? It doesn't really mean anything off the back. Nothing's going to really change between the companies. Vince McMahon is a well-respected guy. So Vince McMahon has a large part in this new company that they're going to create. It's valued at $21 million. It's 9.9 valued at WWE and 12.9 valued at the UFC, coming together to create this whole new company. Vince McMahon will run it, owning 49% of it, but Ori will own 51 in Endeavor. Dana White will still control the UFC side, whereas in, whoever controls, you guys know more about WWE, that will control the WWE side. So against Triple H, the game, whatever he goes by, and Vince McMahon. And basically, this is for the stockholders. If they want to buy stocks, now both companies will be under the same umbrella. And a lot of fans are asking, are we going to see some crossovers? I don't think we'll much see some crossovers. I think Brock Lesnar is basically an outlier. We've seen what happened against CM Punk. No respect against WWE. That's some horde shit that they do. But what I think in the fan of crossovers is maybe, who knows, maybe some guys from the UFC can come up here on not WrestleMania, I'm sorry. Come up here on the WWE and who knows, shout out to, the both companies, coming together. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but I think it's a good acquisition, and I think that it's good for the WWE in the sense of it helps bring more people to it, and not like, obviously it's super huge already. You see what WWE or WrestleMania just did, but I just think, look how fast the UFC grown in Endeavor's hands. And Endeavor is big in Hollywood. They have a lot of entertainment capital. They have a lot of things going on in Hollywood. And not only do they do like sports, they have a lot of like entertainers and a lot of other things that they do, movies and all that kind of things. So that being said, like, they're well connected, and so the WWE is going to get more eyes on the WWE, more sponsorships on the WWE, and it's a real good day for the WWE when it happened, and I'm happy for it. You know what I'm saying? So. I hate that on Twitter, people saying that.
WWE.
That'll be Twitter for you.
That'll
be Twitter.
They're necessarily looking for the exposure, too much more exposure, because obviously they have plenty of that
WWE is really
anyway.
Machine, yeah.
I think that they're already a well-oiled machine, and that leads me into this WWE thing. The week after WrestleMania, the aftermath, the fallouts. We got absolutely maybe the shittiest, worst, most pathetic, sorriest just absolutely trifling episode of Monday Night Raw following WrestleMania. SmackDown was not a whole lot better, although it was better because it didn't take much to be better, So, but it was just a horrible week for WWE after WrestleMania, after a pretty good WrestleMania weekend, and it's just I don't know. I want to hear Adam. I want to hear Jeff. You guys didn't say get much in on the UFC stuff, so I want to hear you guys how y'all feel about this week in the WWE following WrestleMania. It's leaving us with a lot more questions than answers. But part of that whole thing you were talking about, the reason I said what I was saying about they're not worried about getting built up by Endeavor so much is because that's why they do the things they do. Because no matter what, they're going to still continue to roll on because people are going to still support the WWE at the end of the day. So, Jeff, Adam, man, one of y'all take it away, brother.
You want to go first, Adam, or do you want me to go?
Sure. I think the lack of presence by the fans on WWE Raw and SmackDown was because the Bloodline continued to win. Because everybody wanted to see a new champion, a new story, a new way of thinking, right? And you got that on night one of WrestleMania with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You got what you wanted. What doesn't make sense to me is this. You put a guy 30 in the Royal Rumble. He wins the Royal Rumble after coming back from an injury to beat every obstacle in front of him, and you make Roman Reigns weak by having Solo Sikoa come in and help him win the title? How many times do I have to see that guy not win a clean match? He couldn't do it against Brock Lesnar. He couldn't do it against Edge and Daniel Bryan. He had to beat Daniel Bryan and those guys. He never wins clean. And so now the WWE had a chance to blow the roof off the place because I guarantee you Cody Rhodes winning, that Raw crowd is full throat. They are going nuts. They're going crazy. When you bring out the same product again and have a lackluster show on Sunday to kind of end WrestleMania, and then you come out and normally the Raw after WrestleMania is the must-see TV. It's must-see TV, right? I know that Jeff can agree with me there. That usually is must-see TV. And then it leads into an almost over-the-top SmackDown, right? But in both shows, we get Triple H trying to come up and hype the crowd. Bad sign when we're trying to hype the crowd up, okay? Coming out there. The second thing is I do believe because of this merger, we have Roman Reigns as champion. Believe it or not, I don't care about the numbers. I don't think that that's what they're going for. I think the company is merging, and they need to put a guy on that horse, and that guy is Roman Reigns right now. So I think they had a chance and dropped the ball. As for SmackDown, I thought it was going to get a better show than Raw. That crowd was just as lackluster as this one because the show is terrible. I mean, you got guys on this show who need to be pushed, and they're not pushing them. Where's LA Knight? I didn't see him for 3 days. I get Mustafa
He was on
Ali.
SmackDown.
I get Mustafa Ali. That guy, like, it's a joke. It's a joke.
The one good thing about SmackDown, if I can cut in for 1 second, Adam, real quick. There was one good thing about SmackDown at the very end of the show. We did get our guy Matt Riddle back coming out there at the end of the show, getting him back involved in the picture. That was it. That was the highlight of the week. And I like it. WWE TV.
But they're going to squash him. They're going to squash him again or throw him together with Randy Orton. If he can't smoke weed, right, then his whole gimmick is off because that's what, bro, like, what are you going to make him now? He went to rehab, right? So now what are you going to tear his gimmick down? Like, I love Matt Riddle. I at first was like, this guy's not going to be anything. Then I'm like, yo, this guy's the next main eventer. And then he gets, booted because of, some problems with some substance abuse issues. And now he's back. And then what do I get in the main event? I got Cody Rhodes teaming up with Brock Lesnar, an ultimate match. And then you turn Brock to throw him down and beat up Cody Rhodes. It's like, what is happening? What is happening?
See, I'll tell you what's happening.
That's so mad.
You want me to tell you what's happening? Right here, our buddy Sleeping Angels just put the quote of the day. It's not must see when Vince is in charge, just saying. And that's exactly 100% correct because you know who decided to infiltrate his way back into being in charge of creative, and you could tell. Compared to, it all started with night one. of WrestleMania 39, which was absolutely, most have even said, and I bet all you guys agree,
A bang.
takeover worthy. Takeover
WrestleMania was
worthy.
amazing.
That's how that first night was. Every single one of those
night
matches were good. Some of those matches were show-stealing types of matchups. Then you get to night 2. You start off the show with freaking Omos and Brock Lesnar.
Ugh.
And then right after that, you transition into a fatal 4-way women's match that meant nothing. And the winners were 2 people that did nothing in the match. And then, I mean, pretty much the rest of the show, it had some great matches, but bad results. Asuka and Bianca Belair. Why is Asuka losing?
Exactly.
Same thing with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Why is Cody losing? That's the problem. You killed the crowd. You killed the vibe. You killed the excitement at the end of those matches, even though they were great because of the results. I love Gunther. Even Gunther might have been better to lose that championship to Sheamus.
Should have lost the title.
And then
why not?
Then we transitioned to Monday Night Raw. And that's supposed to be the show like Mac was just mentioning, the show that we're all supposed to get excited about. We're all supposed to get pumped up for. And to quote what Bryan Danielson said on Wednesday this past Dynamite, amateurs, amateurs, amateurs. That's exactly what the show was felt like. A bunch of amateurs wrote this show tonight. You're telling me, and the most egregious thing of this entire show, Seth Rollins comes out saying, 10 minutes later, then he just walks away. No point. You had producers coming out telling him that his segment is cut off. So you basically had him come out there looking like an idiot. Everybody's singing a song, and then he leaves, and nothing happens. And then Damage Control, you might as well call the show Damage Control. And Damage Control goes out there. You don't have Bayley with them. Then you're hearing rumors about Bayley maybe not wanting to be there, Asuka not wanting to be there, Drew McIntyre saying he might want out. You're hearing all this Damage Control, no pun intended, behind the scenes. You're having Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes rehashing John Cena and Brock Lesnar circa 2013 after The Rock beat John Cena at that WrestleMania, and then he attacks John Cena the night afterwards. It's like rinse and repeat with Vince McMahon behind the storylines. And then SmackDown, I'm sort of intrigued because they're trying to play off this storyline of Jey Uso turning babyface and going against the bloodline. I guess Jimmy too, but still, the bloodline is still front and center. And then you have a useless women's division match, or women's division segment between Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair when you were supposed to have 2 triple threat matches to determine your new Raw Women's Championship. But instead, you had Rhea and Bianca go against each other. And then why the hell did you have a tag team women's match on Raw when you just crowned number 1 contenders on the show before? Vince McMahon, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you had the crap show on Monday. And Triple H, like Adam just said, he went out there and he did Damage Control. He wanted to let the fans know, everything's okay. Everything's just fine. We're here together forever. Together forever. Rah, rah, speech. Bullshit. That's exactly what it was the entire time. It was BS. It was Damage Control just to make the casual fans feel a little bit better when the real fans that know the business inside and out know what exactly is happening behind the scenes. And that's exactly the crap that we got on Monday, which was the most abysmal show I've ever seen after Raw after WrestleMania. And Jay White, thank God he went over to Thank God Jay White was smart and decided to show up on Dynamite, which that's the type of show we should have gotten on Monday. Dynamite was must-see. And you know what? Kudos to Tony Khan for doing what he did on Wednesday instead of the garbage we got on Monday and for the most part on Friday. I'm done. You guys can continue.
Well, I think I'm going to start switching
here
on
we go.
AEW.
Well, look, here we go with Raw. Here's the thing. The show starts off. You got like a promo for it was like a half an hour long. I mean, it was something like that with Cody Rhodes and Roman. And then, they kind of faked you out like you were getting ready to get something really cool happening. Brock comes out, I'm going to team up with Cody, high five. And in my mind, and this is no bullshit, in my own mind, I said to myself, something's fishy about this. Something's just not right. I knew something wasn't right. It was too good to be true. Because if you notice the storyline with the Brock and Roman Reigns thing, Brock Lesnar cannot challenge for a world title as long as Roman Reigns is the champion. You know what I mean? Anymore. So that when they put that little extra clause in it, anybody want to come team with Cody Rhodes, you're never going to get a title shot with Roman Reigns or whatever. And then Brock Lesnar music came on. I thought it was absolutely genius at first because it didn't matter because it didn't affect Brock Lesnar because he couldn't get a title shot anyway. So it was just an opportunity for him to come out there and maybe him and Cody kick Roman and Solo Sikoa's ass in the main event. But I knew it was going to be too good to be true. And of course it was. And of course it absolutely was.
Yeah,
and
what's the point?
And the show, just the whole entire show was absolutely it was just pathetic. The night after WrestleMania, and that's what you give us. You know what I mean? As fans, you Bad Bunny getting destroyed by Damian Priest. You got
That's
the
just
cast
about
of
Mac.
Bel Air
That was
out
one of
there
the
in the crowd.
highlights.
That's the show.
That was one of the highlights.
You invite these guys to see this show, but at the same time, I don't. It's just the whole show.
Well,
It was just, if that's going to be the highlight of your show, then that's bad. The night after Mania, that's going to be the highlight of your show. That's not a good thing. I'm sorry. That whole nonsense at the end with Brock Lesnar beating down Cody Rhodes, that was absolute nonsense. It makes no sense. There was nothing that led up to that. Nothing at all. It was just something on a whim that just happened because Vince McMahon in the back said, "This is what I want to do now tonight, guys. I want to go down there. I want you to go out there, Brock, and I want you to just destroy Cody Rhodes. I know there's no history. I know there's no reason for it. I know there's nothing that led up to this, but you just go out there and you just absolutely take it to Cody Rhodes and you just destroy him. There's not going to happen." What the hell was that? What the hell was that? It was trash. And like I said, the fact that the highlight of the WWE week was Matt Riddle coming back at the end of SmackDown, like that was the absolute highlight of the week. I mean, it was. At least for me.
He showed up on Monday Night Raw. He showed up on Monday Night Raw.
Fan of his. But why couldn't he? Why couldn't he be the partner of Cody Rhodes? Whatever, you know what I mean? Come out there, get some get back. With against the bloodline
that would have been good.
Monday Night Raw following WrestleMania. Exactly. But no, Vince McMahon, we got to throw Brock Lesnar in the mix some kind of way. We're just going to throw him in the mix because I'm Vince McMahon and I'm fucking on my knees for Brock Lesnar and we're going to always put him in the mix for everything. He's got to be a part of something big all the time. It's got to be about Brock Lesnar and this. That's what people want to see. Everybody wants to see Brock Lesnar. Everybody loves Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's all right. But God damn it, other people are too, God damn it. And he had nothing to do with this storyline at the time. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So where do we go from here? What's the end game? What's the plan? Because right now,
Cody overcomes the odds.
I'm just
Cody
confused.
overcomes the odds. That's what it is.
What odds?
Overcomes the Brock Lesnar mountain. It's a way to build up Cody to make him look stronger because he overcame Brock Lesnar in his path back to the Universal Championship against Roman at SummerSlam. You know it's happening. You know what's happening.
Wait.
You know what's happening.
But you wasted my time on Royal Rumble. You wasted my freaking time at Royal Rumble because you had that guy win. You set it up to dethrone him. So now you have Roman Reigns not lose the title. You have Brock Lesnar, who I have no idea where this storyline is now going because I don't even care about Brock Lesnar. You either are going to put him in the main event or you're not. I don't want to see him fighting Omos. I don't need a hill or mountain for Cody Rhodes to climb. Cody Rhodes has climbed a mountain. I mean, that pay-per-view match that he had was phenomenal against Roman Reigns. It's one of the best matches of the weekend, okay? And he overcame the odds only to have Solo Sikoa. Where's Adam Pearce? I feel like that guy is never here. Like, you want to make a GM? Have that guy come out. You know what he should have done? He should have came out at WrestleMania. He should have said, hey, let's redo this match, finish this match. Solo Sikoa, if you come back in, stipulation is Roman Reigns going to lose the title. So now he can't get any help. But now you throw in Brock Lesnar, who I don't know what he's going to do. I have no idea what he's going to do. I feel like you watched WrestleMania and you saw the end of the Triple H era, and the reigniting of the Vince McMahon era on Saturday and Sunday. It was two different shows. Saturday from start to finish, like we said, was amazing. And then you had WrestleMania, and then you had the Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah,
now, SmackDown, I don't know what they're going to do because, like Sheamus, what are you going to do with him? You put him back with the Brawling Brutes? I was like, what is this now?
Probably going to go after the Intercontinental Championship again. I think they're leading it up to the show at the O2 Center. That too. And by the way, just real quickly, I love the Matt Riddle thing they did on SmackDown, but they killed it when they had him coming back and going against The Miz on Monday. That killed it for me. So I'm like, okay, he returned against the Bloodline, but he just showed up on Monday Night Raw in a stupid segment against The Miz on Monday. So I'm like, I don't care because they killed his surprise return on Monday.
See, the thing is this. I want to talk about the Bloodline for a minute because they are I don't know how to view I don't know how to view them anymore because I want to view them as one of the greatest factions of all time, which I do believe they will be in that conversation. But to me, when I look at Roman Reigns, dude, win something clean. Let me believe in you. Let me believe that you are the big.
When's the last time he won a match without interference?
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Wow. Before 2020.
Everyone comes out and like whether it's Paul Heyman, whether it's Jey Uso, whether was Sami Zayn at the time, whether it's now Solo Sikoa,
it's Jimmy Uso. It doesn't matter who it is.
Somebody always comes out and distracts it, and it's like even the NWO, had their moments, but like, come on, you know what I mean? Like this Bloodline thing, and you lost the tag team titles, which was one of the pillars of it, right? Because you had three guys have a title, you literally had dominance. Now you don't. So what's the point of Roman Reigns having the title other than to berate his family now to say, I am the best there is? What they should have done was they should have called The Rock up. They should have said, Cody, come back after Royal Rumble, build up your storyline for SummerSlam. We'll have you win the title at SummerSlam, and you could have had The Rock versus somebody else. I mean, or Roman Reigns, because it made Royal Rumble absolutely useless. And now you have these two guys don't have a title, and you have Roman Reigns standing there looking like an idiot because his Solo Sikoa is now his stooge.
I'm more aggravated by just how they're booking the women's division, too. You want to talk about a women's division that's so much damn talent on that roster, and you pretty much have made that division so damn non-existent that you might as well just start releasing some of those women on that roster. I mean, you have people like Bayley, you have people like Asuka, you have people like Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, all these talented women on this roster that have either been insignificant, have had no build. You turn Asuka, who looked like a killer coming out of Royal Rumble, into that dancing fool with ghoul coming out of her mouth again, and then she loses. She's 0-5 at WrestleMania. Asuka, the woman that was the most dominant NXT Women's Champion in the history of WWE, has never won a WrestleMania match. Bayley has turned into a loser. Damage Control looks like a bunch of losers. Tegan Nox is MIA. Mia Yim is MIA. Shotzi Blackheart loses every single time she's in the ring with Ronda Rousey. Raquel Rodriguez smiling everywhere. Liv Morgan, she looks like a loser. Everybody on that roster on that women's division is being booked like losers.
The girls say something. You also got a hidden gem on that women's side of things that doesn't get used at all. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I've been saying this for a long time. Scarlett Bordeaux is probably one of the absolutely most talented females that you could put in that ring WWE has, and they don't use her at all in the ring. She is nothing more than a valet for her husband. And she's nothing more than a valet for her husband carrying cross. Scarlett Bordeaux can get in there and mix it up with the guys, let alone the girls. Yet they don't use her at all. She's wrestled. She's had since the whole time her carrying cross been in WWE. Scarlett Bordeaux, if I'm not mistaken, has only wrestled in one match. At one day, a mixed tag match about a month or so ago against Madcap Moss and Emma.
Carrying cross, yeah. Where's he at?
That's it. A woman of that TV. Talent. You got her just sitting there wasting away. This is what I mean about Vince McMahon, WWE in general. You just don't appreciate the talent you have, and it's like you just said.
He's not listening. He's tone deaf. He's tone deaf.
It's non-existent. It's like it doesn't even exist. They don't book
Emma's
none of
playing
those
video
girls
games
worth
in the
a
back.
damn.
Have you guys seen the way he
Unless
looks
your name is
lately? It
Charlotte
kind of scares
Flair,
me.
if your name's not Charlotte Flair, it means nothing to be a female in WWE. Essentially, Shayna Baszler, who we were talking about Oscar's amazing run as NXT Women's Champion, Shayna Baszler had almost as equally, almost not quite, but almost as good a run as well. She's done absolutely squat diddly on the main roster. The only
Shayna
title she's
Baszler
had
was a
is when
waste.
she was tag team champions with Nia Jax, of all people. And that's the only gold she's touched since she's been on the main roster. She's now she's just Ronda Rousey's flunky. When she comes out to Ronda Rousey's music. They don't even hit her own music anymore. She doesn't even get a proper ring entrance anymore.
A lot of the big
So it's
stars
just this is just disrespect. The disrespect is real with what they had to have things are getting handled. And right now, I'm just curious to see what's going to happen going forward with WWE. But I'm going to proceed with caution because I can't put trust that they're going to put out a good product. But at the same time, at the end of the day, they're a WWE and they ain't going nowhere either. So
no, they're making boatloads and boatloads of money. They made like what, $21 billion out of that merger?
I don't think they won't go anywhere, but I do think you're going to see fans starting to go elsewhere because content is going to be available. Okay. They're going to go to the UFC. They're going to go to AEW. They're going to go to New Japan and Impact. If I'm those companies, I'm looking at WWE right now as product, and I'm saying, how can we capitalize on this? You're already hearing stars are disgruntled, right?
Yeah.
You start to pull major stars out. You can only ride the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns coattails for so long, right? It's already getting stale, right? When I feel like this is the era of the Triple H era. Right, with Triple H, you would always win a title. You're just like again Triple H, again Triple H, again Triple H. It was and John Cena at some point when John Cena was winning titles,
and Batista too.
Right, it's like all you do is just keep it on these guys, and it's like why do you keep doing that? And I feel like the WWE could have pushed themselves into a different with a merger coming on. Right, business would have been on fire. You would have hit the second quarter going gangbusters business-wise if you had Cody Rhodes doing it. You're selling more merchandise, the bloodline, that drama can go. Will they be built up back? You still have a champion there. You still have Roman Reigns there. So you can hide the fact that Jimmy Uso and those guys aren't champion anymore. Because, hey, we still have Roman Reigns. Until you get the belts off of Roman Reigns, the product is going to be the same.
Well,
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I ran the company, the black title is going to Cody, the blue title is going to Drew McIntyre, and then when AJ comes back, he can get whoever he wants. Like I just kind of feel like what you guys are saying. Like the reason why I turned off Monday Night War is just basically like not saying that you guys actually saved me time. So I looked at the group chat and then seeing you guys passionate about the show and seeing you guys discuss it because you guys watch it before me because of the time difference. I'm like, you know what? Like I'm just not even gonna waste my time. But I have to say, as a fan, I really did enjoy night one of WWE WrestleMania. I was electrifying. Even some matches on night two. Shout out
the
to
Intercontinental Championship match was incredible. Might have been the best match of the entire weekend between Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre.
Absolutely, legendary. But I didn't understand even the stadium. You could tell like what's like Max said. What is the end goal here? Like what now? You know what I'm saying? So
the end goal. This is what the end goal is. This is what it's leading to. Cody is going to go into a match against Brock Lesnar at Backlash or WrestleMania.
But like what I mean by that question, Jeff, is like what I mean by that is like what's the vision that you see that like if I kind of look at it, I compare it to like Call of Duty in a sense, and what I mean by
you're gonna have him win Money in the Bank now.
Yeah, Call of Duty only cares about money, right? So like it's kind of like. They don't give a fuck about their hardcore fan base. They don't give a fuck about it. No, they don't
because they're collecting money.
Absolutely.
The thing is that the thing that people misinterpret is that it doesn't matter what about the creative because you know what they're doing? They're collecting billions and billions of dollars and they just got to have this merger. So the creative and everybody can bitch and complain about it, but you know what the fact is? They're all going to still tune in and watch because of the fact they're making boatloads and boatloads and boatloads of money on the business side. So the creative might suck, the ratings might be down, but the other side of the company, what Vince McMahon does really well at, is he makes that corporation and that company tons and tons and tons of revenue and money. That's the thing that we've misinterpreted, is that the other side of the WWE, they are succeeding massively because of the amount of revenue they're bringing in, and they just had $21 billion they're bringing in from this merger with UFC together that they had partnered up with Endeavor. And I just want to talk about AEW real quickly. That was an awesome show. That's the show we should have had on Monday. That show, top to bottom. I don't know if Mac and Adam, you guys saw that show, or Zion, you checked it out. That show was awesome. Up and down, that show had cliffhangers. That show had great moments. Jay White debuting. We're gonna get Jay White versus Ricky Stark. Sign me the hell up. You have more built-up stuff with the 4 pillars. That MJF segment was hilarious. I loved every second of that. I mean, Bryan Danielson in the Blackpool Combat Club just kicking the living crap out of everybody. Him calling Hangman amateur and sticking a damn screwdriver in his head. That was great. Even Riho and Jamie Hayter was a lot of fun. That entire show. And then the announcement they had about the huge stadium show they're going to have at Wembley. And you're going to have All In and then All Out right back to back. And AEW is shaping up to have a monster late spring, early summer with Double or Nothing late in May. Then you got Forbidden Door in July. You got All In August. And the week after, you got All Out. I mean, that if WWE doesn't wake up, AEW is setting themselves up for a tremendous show. And there could be a certain cult of personality who could be on his way back to AEW too. So just saying, WWE, if they really want to get the wake-up call, just look what your competition is doing right now, because they are setting themselves up for a absolutely summer to remember over at All Elite Wrestling.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We're gonna wrap that segment up. You know, WWE, just get better. AEW, continue to trend upward, man. Keep doing what y'all doing. But we're gonna move on to the sport we all love the most here on the Premium Takes podcast. Oh, I don't know. I can't say we all love the most. I can't speak for everyone. I love this sport the most. Football, as we all love. NFL, we're getting closer and closer to that NFL draft.
Yes, sir.
And it's almost that time. I can smell it in the air. They about to get back on the field, get some OTAs popping off soon, rookie mini camps, all that good fun stuff. But
this Friday,
we did have some big news. We got some big news. Go down a little, about an hour or so ago. Odell Beckham Jr. has finally landed. He has found a new home. He has now signed a 1-year contract with the Baltimore Ravens, worth upward to about $18 million. Odell Beckham still getting $18
Get your bag
out there, man. Go ahead, bro. Proud of you, man. But Odell Beckham Jr. How y'all feel about Odell Beckham Jr.?
Can
joining
I
the Baltimore Ravens, man?
I'll probably be nice and fast.
But we don't know.
Absolutely,
we're still not quite sure who the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah.
True. Even though we still might not true who the quarterback is gonna be. I'm just gonna go based off if it's Lamar Jackson. If it is Lamar Jackson, I absolutely love it. You know, that's a team that is actually trying to think, like trying to actually put a quarterback, give him actually receiver. And I'm not just saying OBJ is gonna come on and be the OBJ from his Giants days. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, he still gets a receiver, and that's what the Ravens needed. They needed help on the receiving core. And shout out to OBJ, like $18 million. You go out there, you go get your bag. You know what I'm saying? And I'm honestly, I'm just happy that like he got paid, and we can finally put all of that stuff to rest. So I'll let you guys go.
Go ahead, Adam.
OBJ. Finally, we can, like The Rock says, finally we can put this shit to bed, because I'm tired of Giant fans flirting with the idea of bringing him back. I'm tired of it. Every week it was like, well, he's coming back to New York. Oh my God, he's in Newark Airport. Oh, Joe Shane went out to dinner with him. Brian Dable high-fived him virtually. Like, give me a break. Like, it was about time to get rid of this guy, right? Oh my God, he's doing this. He's doing this. You know how many conversations I had with people, and then I have a conversation now with somebody, and they're like, oh, I never said that Giant fans were never sniffing around. The report says the Giants were sniffing around Odell Beckham Jr. So don't tell me that they weren't sniffing around the guy when they were. The problem is the Giants never really wanted to bring him in. They were just doing their due diligence, flirting, saying hello. Time to move on. It's like a girlfriend that you can't get over. You're still talking about, oh, look what she's doing over there. Look what she's doing. Who cares? Who gives a crap? The guy hasn't played football in a year. You want me to give a damn about him? Who cares? He right. And you know what he did? He played the Jets. That's what he did. He said, hey, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and the Ravens, who are desperate to keep Lamar Jackson, finally get him a weapon that even if he is a number 2, he's probably the best number 2 in the league. Right? And with the Ravens, he's going to be number 1 because they have no number 2. So if I'm the Ravens,
I was going to say, he's going to be their number 1.
Right.
He's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Be their number 1. But they finally get a legitimate receiver to pair up with Mark Andrews. Now, if I were them, I'd draft Zay Flowers as at my pick right now. So now I have Zay Flowers. I have Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, right? My running back, whoever that may be,
Isn't J.K. Dobbins still there? Yeah, it's like J.K. Dobbins.
He was like 7-1 in matches.
They got Rashad Bateman, who was coming on pretty strong last year until he got hurt.
Yeah, but he
got banged up, and that kind of
Dobbs.
But
that's what I'm saying. He's not a bad. He's not a scrub. He's definitely not a scrub.
I'm not saying
Bateman's not bad.
I'm not saying it is, but I'm like I put him in the Sterling Shepard category. I'm waiting for him to prove to me that he can play more games category. Because every year that guy came in, he had an ACL his first year. He comes in this year, and you're like, "Oh, Bateman's going to do well." Goes down again with injury, and they're relying on Mark Andrews. Now you got Odell Beckham Jr. and the guys I mentioned. Heck, throw in a Zay Flowers, and now maybe you have a dynamic offense that can compete with the rest of that division. I just am happy that we don't have to talk about Odell anymore. I'm also the other pillar that needs to fall is Aaron Rodgers, so we can stop talking about that guy because it's like these guys remind me of Roman Reigns. I'm just tired of seeing them in the news for doing nothing.
I mean, OBJ pretty much, it's just, I never understood the fit with the Giants. I mean, I get the Giants fans. Some of them just can't let go of Odell. They loved Odell. Some of them that are younger fans, Odell was pretty much their guy, but we already signed about 50,000 receivers and brought back 50,000 receivers. A lot of them are injury prone anyway. So you really want to bring in another injury prone wide receiver coming off a serious injury that really in one way has no fit? I mean, now he goes over to Baltimore, and who is his quarterback? You could say it could be Lamar Jackson, but who knows? By the time we get to the NFL draft in a couple of weeks, Lamar Jackson might be playing somewhere else, and he might be having Tyron Huntley that's going to be a starting quarterback. But, I mean, I think it's a decent fit over there in Baltimore, and at the same time, it's a good thing that the Jets didn't sign him, too, because I never thought that made sense either. Both New York teams can finally move on. They can concentrate on the NFL draft if they want to get some more upgrades at the wide receiver position. And I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., what is he at this point? That's the question that we've all been asking. What is Odell Beckham Jr. at this point in his career? He's 30, going to be 31 years old, coming off 2 major knee injuries back-to-back, and he pretty much didn't play all of last year. Is he a number 1 still? Is he a decent number 2? Can he still be a number 3? Who really knows at this point what Odell is? But, I mean, he's going to get a chance to go out there and show what he can still be over there in Baltimore. Is clearly the number 1 option. Yeah, he's got OBJ, you got Aguilar, Bateman, Duvernay, Dobbins, Mark Andrews, a decent playmaking. Nothing that special.
He had Eli Manning at the back end of his career. He'll have Lamar Jackson in the prime. Now, this is not going to be a slide on Eli, but this is probably the best talented quarterback he's played with right now.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't want to hear people yell at me and snag, oh, Eli Manning. Eli Manning, we all know those last 5 years of his career wasn't the same guy. Loved him, still put up numbers. Odell helped him keep him in the league, right? But when I talk about sheer talent, we all know Lamar Jackson has more talent in his legs running. Not a passer, but as an athlete than Eli is. So he's getting, for the first time in his career, getting a guy in his prime that can actually make him better because of what he does on the field. Now, like you said, Jeff, he may or may not come back. I doubt he doesn't come back now because if I'm the Ravens, there's no way. This to me is a win for Lamar Jackson. It's a, hey, listen, we got you a guy. You don't need to leave anymore. And let's be real. They're going to pay him.
But also, Adam, where is he going to go? Where is Lamar Jackson at this point going to go? There's really no options out there unless maybe the Colts.
Yes, the Colts are the team.
There's
that
always
are
options for a
buzzing
player like
around.
Lamar Jackson. I mean,
Yeah.
it's options.
You're,
There's always gonna
you're
be
absolutely
options.
right, Mac.
I don't see
You're
any teams though
absolutely right.
giving up the type of compensation though for a Lamar Jackson. So I think his best bet is to just go back to Baltimore and just see what he can see if they can work out some type of resolution and a contract.
Well, you got to ask yourself this question though. They only put the franchise tag on him. No one's been giving him any offers to that. At least
You
we
know
haven't
what the
heard
biggest
anything.
problem is with Lamar Jackson? I'll tell you guys what the biggest problem is. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is his own agent. And that's the biggest problem because he doesn't have the connections that the other agents has. And also another the biggest problem is Lamar Jackson wants fully guaranteed money, and teams doesn't. If he didn't want fully guaranteed money, and if
Owners
he
will
had
never
an
go for
agent,
that.
he would have been signed a long time ago.
No,
So
He's never going to get that.
Kirk Cousins
not
got
gonna
fully
get that.
guaranteed money. Okay. The problem is that he wants the Deshaun Watson type guaranteed money. Has nothing to do with guaranteed money because they've done it before with Kirk Cousins twice. He has gotten 2-3 year
It's
contracts
because teams
fully
don't want
guaranteed.
to split that trend. Teams are not attacking it because they don't want that threat. They don't want to give guaranteed. So if teams talk to Lamar Jackson and they're gonna because he's not you know what I'm saying. So if they go and they'll be that team
It's hard to
that
give a
gives them
guy with that
guaranteed
playing
money,
style.
people's gonna be
full
like, yo,
guaranteed
why the
money.
fuck
They
do
did.
that?
Well, they did that
you
with
know?
Deshaun
Exactly,
Watson.
Mac.
That's why the league is pissed because Deshaun Watson contract has ruined all the quarterback contracts.
Absolutely.
Going forward,
Like
especially
the
guys.
Cleveland Browns are stupid. They're
Well,
a stupid
but the
organization
point
for
is
doing
like
that.
Well, look,
but
before
the
we
point is-
stray too far away, before we stray too far off of this, real quick, let me make my little Odell Beckham.
Oh yeah,
point
OBJ
real quick
point. Sorry.
Before we stray
Go
too
ahead,
far
Mac.
away from that. But Odell Beckham, man, Odell Beckham. Look, let me keep it real with you guys. I think if he ever can stay healthy, I have he's a number one wide receiver, and I don't give a damn what nobody said. If he can stay healthy, that's what he still absolutely is. He still brings that to the table. The last game we saw Odell Beckham play was the Super Bowl a couple years ago against when they beat the damn Chiefs, when the Rams beat not the Chiefs, beat the Bengals. Odell Beckham, at the time when he got injured in that game, was most likely on his way to being Super Bowl MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was looking that possible. Like he was on his way to being the MVP of the damn game. He was out there balling in that Super
Close to
Bowl
70
before he
yards
got
in the
injured,
first
before he
quarter.
tore that before he tore that knee up. So there's no doubt in my mind what Odell Beckham can do if healthy. The problem with that is that's the thing is he can stay healthy. We don't know that. That's what we don't know about Odell Beckham. I know that he can go out there and still catch the football, still run routes, still fast as shit. I know he's all of that still. It's a matter of, man, can he stay healthy? Can he, once he gets tackled, will he be able to get back up? That's my question. That's my only real question mark with Odell Beckham. And like Adam said, absolutely glad this whole saga is over. I much as I love the guy, much as I love what he did his tenure here in New York, I just was not interested in bringing him back. I just don't think he was the piece this team needed at this current time. I want to go on with this rebuild the way these guys have been building things. And Odell Beckham, to me, wasn't going to be the answer for this particular team. And I don't see any way where he would have got $18 million from the New York Giants anyway. And that has also a lot to do with why he went on elsewhere with the Baltimore Ravens, because I can't see the Giants were going to pay him that kind of money anyway. So, I mean, like I said, Odell Beckham, I think, great player. Happy for him. Hope maybe he can stay healthy, get his career back on track. But like I said, I don't question the talent of him as long as he's healthy. It's just a matter of him staying healthy. Odell Beckham, I think, is still a legitimate number one receiver if he can just not get injured. But
and I just want to say real fast in that Super Bowl, he got hurt in like the late first quarter, early second quarter, correct?
I think it was like the beginning of the second
quarter,
half.
I believe, sometime.
It was like late second quarter.
No, it wasn't in the second. It was before halftime. I'm pretty sure
it was before halftime, right? But Cincinnati, Los Angeles was literally targeting him. He had 3 targets with two receptions for 9.
Oh yeah, because they tried to take Cooper Kupp out of the game, and then Odell Beckham Jr. was just torching them the entire time.
He would have ate, but go ahead, Adam.
So I want to go back to this Lamar Jackson thing. So it's very intriguing to me that
Levance.
nobody has stepped up. Now, the
Thank you.
Colts have flirted with it, which I think would actually be a good move for the Colts to do, especially with Frank Wright being there. Not Frank Wright not being there, excuse me, especially with the new coaching staff
Yeah, Shane
being there.
Steichen from the Eagles.
I think we'll see that. There you go. He has familiarity with a guy like Jalen Hurst. Lamar Jackson fits his skill set. Now, what Zion says is interesting. If Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent, then he's going about this the wrong way. He just saw Daniel Jones get an absolute bag for absolutely crappy play. I don't care what anybody says to me. You're not going to blow a spade a spade. He played quarterback like an average quarterback plays quarterback. It's just better because we won, right? If we were like I say to people all the time, if the Giants are the reverse record that they were 6-9-1 or whatever the record was 7-9-1, we're not talking about Daniel Jones. We're talking about replacing him with Richardson or some other guy going up and getting Stroud. That's what we would be doing right now. And let's be blatantly honest. But because he won, because he didn't blow shit up, we're keeping him. We're keeping the rebuild moving, and so we're moving along. So Lamar Jackson sees that guy who's far less talented than he is get the money that he gets, and the Ravens come back and give him 3 years, 133. Now, if I'm Lamar, I'd probably take a smaller deal, take the shorter deal like Kirk Cousins did. Then you can build yourself another bag after that, right? Because you get your 3-year deal, you're going to be 28. You're still going to be pretty healthy, pretty young. You get your next bag. Now you're probably getting even more money because now the market goes up, right? Because the salary cap is going up and the TV deals are kicking in and all the streaming. So Lamar Jackson is trying to bet on himself, and he might play on the franchise tag, which might be a hindrance to him. So to me, I am concerned with him on this contract. I don't care about paying him because he's good, but the problem is Deshaun Watson did not play a single down for a year, right? And then for this year, played 6 games. And the Browns, be it they're the Browns, gave him a bag that is not even meant to be had with all that guaranteed money. So he's looking at Deshaun Watson now. He said, yo, Daniel Jones, who I'm far better than, and Deshaun Watson, who is better than me, but I am considered one of in that echelon, is getting this money. I deserve that money. And to be honest with you, without Lamar Jackson, they showed you if he's in that playoff game, they probably beat the Bengals. Actually, I'll go ahead and
They
would have beat the Bengals.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say they beat the Bengals there, right?
Lamar's not fumbling that football at the end line. He would have not fumbled that ball. It would have been in the end zone instead of it going all the way back for 99 yards and a touchdown.
Right. He had his anomalies this season with the interception. He got injured with the Giants and things like that. Un-Lamar-esque type things. That's why when I said to you guys early on when the Giants beat the Ravens, he did something that Lamar Jackson doesn't normally do, and that was, panic and throw an interception. Right, we think of him as being a more heady player. In the playoffs, we all think that if he's in the game, he's not going over the top, fumbling. He's probably keeping the ball and scoring a touchdown, and he's leaving off as a hero. And now, guess what? Now they'd have to pay him money because he won a playoff game and he looked good. So this is why there's such a conundrum. And what I don't understand is, like Max said, I'm sorry I'm going on this rambling tangent. I do have a point. Max said something that was interesting. He's like, well, teams can line up and swoop in and get Lamar Jackson. Well, why haven't teams done that? That's my question. Is do they know that he's not leaving the Ravens? Do they understand that he's not leaving the Ravens? Is it because he doesn't have an agent?
I think he's trying to leverage them.
Because it's right there, Adam. It's because he doesn't have an agent, and because teams doesn't want to give guarantee money, and that's it. It really comes down to that. Because like all of the time I've been following this whole Lamar Jackson situation, all these agents and all these people I've been listening to, just say my sources. My sources say that, but the things that I've found out
Love
is
that.
he's representing himself. So that means all the time that Lamar Jackson's out there training, if you had an agent, your agent could be calling 32 teams, is constantly connecting with people, constantly texting people. Your agent is doing all of that when you're working out. Now you work out, you get home from working out, and do you really want to sit down, Lamar Jackson, and call 32 teams and really represent yourself to the best of your abilities? No, because from the 10th call, you're already over it because that's not what you do for a living. Guess what? That's what the agent does for a living. The agent gets paid to do that for a living. He gets up to 3% of your contract to do that for a living. So that being said, go out there, Stop representing yourself. Go out there and go get an agent, bro. And at the end of the day, it's the NFL. The NFL is ran by 32 billionaires. They're not gonna budge. If one, they're as much as they don't like each other, they are connected. And if one of them says, you know what, we're not gonna do this resetting of the market. Nope, we're out. Nope, we're out. Guess what? They follow. If as much as we hate him, if homie in Dallas comes out and says something in those meetings, everybody listens, and half of them is like, nah, yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? If some of these owners say something, the rest of them, yeah. And that's the reason why. That's what's really going on. And that's why it's taking so long. And the other reason why the Aaron Rodgers situation is taking so long is because Green Bay is so set on getting the first round pick. You're not going to get the Jets' first round pick. So just give up. Give up, Green Bay. You're not getting it. Don't go after the first. Go after the second. Go after something else. And he's the damn Jet. Aaron Rodgers is a
That's
Jet.
the general manager with the Packers just trying to make Aaron Rodgers sweat. That's all it is because of all the stuff that happened with Green Bay this past season. I think that GM is just trying to make Aaron Rodgers sweat. That's pretty much it. He's not getting a first round pick from the Jets.
You're not getting that.
Most likely, you're going to probably get a second round pick. If that, maybe a first round pick the following year. Yeah.
Well,
and
all due respect,
and also, how long is Aaron Rodgers going to play?
I'm going to say. All due respect, I'm gonna say fuck you to that though, because I'm not saying fuck you. I'm saying fuck you to that. Offer.
That's exactly what
Aaron
they're saying.
If I'm gonna give you Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna give me a first round pick. I'm not giving you Aaron Rodgers. That's why it's taking so long, man. A first round pick. So I mean, I'm just saying,
somebody's got to subside.
Someone got to give, and both sides are not giving. Both sides are not giving, and that's why it's taking so long. Sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No, don't worry about it.
I mean, that's A-Rod. I mean, you're not going to get him off of me for less than a first round pick.
Go look at these numbers, and you don't want to give me a
first. But see, the thing is, the Rodgers has the leverage because he doesn't have to play for them. So it doesn't do. You're not going to do if you want to get rid of this guy, and get rid of him now. You're going to take what you want. They have no leverage. He says he doesn't want to play with them. The GM says they don't want him around.
He also has the guaranteed money too.
Right. So the problem that the Green Bay Packers did was they opened their damn mouths. Had they said nothing and just been moot on the point and said, yeah, we would love Aaron Rodgers back. If it works out, it works out. More people would care. But when you go out and both you, the GM, Aaron Rodgers, and most of the team over there don't agree with that he's coming back, and the Jets are like, yeah, we got Aaron Rodgers, then there's no leverage. What's holding it up right now, and even Aaron said it on Pat McAfee show, is the Packers are holding it up because they, like Mac, you said, they want a first round pick for him. But the Jets are like, yo, we know we're not going to get a first round pick. We'll give you a first round pick. If anything, we'll swap picks with you. We'll give you 13 and then whatever number they are, right? And then give them a second round pick and then a second round pick next year that could possibly be a first round pick if he hits certain escalators in a contract. Because at that point, you won't care because you're the Jets and you're going to be like, well, Aaron Rodgers is coming in here. He's going to make us a better team. So we're going to have a lower draft pick anyways. So next year, if let's say the Jets get to the playoffs, they might be where the Giants are at 25, 26. At that point, they're not going to probably care about giving up a first round pick. So for me, you can sit there and say, Mac, yeah, fuck them. I want a first round pick. Then you don't get, you're losing leverage by the day. As the draft continues, you're going to, as we get closer to the draft, you're losing that value.
Absolutely.
Right?
Time is ticking.
Because the Jets are like, hey, listen, we've been waiting here all day.
At the end of the day,
he doesn't want to play for them. They're going to have to cut him. And you get nothing for him.
I get it. But certain players, I'm not going to just give them away. One way or another, I'm still not just going to give them away. I mean, Barry Sanders wanted to be traded. If they would have just traded Barry Sanders, he would not have retired as early as he did, and he would have went on to smash the all-time rushing record with some other team. But he said he retired. He retired, and it is what it is. But all Detroit, the same way Detroit, they were not going to just give him away. The thing is, because you know what I mean.
Can I just say something real fast, Adam? If Bill O'Brien ran the Packers, he would have been traded for a fourth.
Well, my point is this: Barry Sanders is not the guy that Aaron Rodgers is in terms of pushing back on the "I don't want to play for you." Okay, he had a chance to do it. He decided he wants to play. He said he wants to play for the New York Jets. He doesn't want to come back to Green Bay. And what are you going to do? You know he wants to play. So that means.
And the Jets GM just said he's coming to the New York. He's coming to the Jets. He pretty much just said it at the owners' meeting.
And so the problem now that you have now is is A, you lost leverage, but B, what are you going to do? Hold out till after the draft? They'll just wait till you cut him because he's not coming to training camp with you. He's not going to do anything. And now you don't get anything for him except holding the bag of whatever he's paid for. So, yeah, I understand you want to hold him out and do it. There's no leverage here. Barry Sanders didn't go, he just retired because they didn't want to move on from him. Same with Calvin Johnson. They didn't want to move on from him either, and he didn't push back. I'm sure Calvin Johnson could have made things happen.
You'll get your money, and I think
Brett Favre did the same thing. Brett Favre came out. They wanted to pay him for 10 years, $2 million a year, 10 years, $20 million, $2 million a year for 10 years for him to stay retired. He decided, you know what, I'm going to go play for the Jets. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you. If I were the Packers, I'd be holding out for a king's ransom. But when you've already played your cards and you're trying to tell the dealer, well, I want to take my bet back now and I want to, bet more. It's too late. You've already opened that can of worms. No one's going to give you a first-round pick. Nobody in the league is going to give you a first-round pick.
Let me give you a hypothetical. Okay, like you said, they're losing leverage with the Jets. But, okay, let's say the Jets keep holding out because they're not giving up that first-round pick. Now, let's say somebody else still swoops in. At the end of the day, they don't have to trade Aaron Rodgers where the hell he wants to, where he wants to go. At the end of the day, they can trade Aaron Rodgers where the hell they want to trade Aaron Rodgers to.
But nobody wants. You have to have takers.
Only the Jets not to interrupt.
That's what I'm saying. Hypothetically,
you're right. But hypothetically, the world can end tomorrow. I'm just saying.
Can I just say something? This is what I heard about it. I was watching the Pat McAfee show. He comes on. He does about 45 minutes every Tuesday. If you guys want to see Aaron Rodgers, he basically said he came out of the darkness because he does on this darkness retreat. He came out of the darkness, 6 days in darkness, and all of a sudden he was debating about retirement or not. The Green Bay Packers wasn't going to wait on him. He came out of the darkness, and the headlines were saying that he's going to be a Jet. So this whole thing about the Jets, the Packers, I believe, called the Jets, was calling teams, and the Jets was the most heavily team interested in him. And ever since that day, the tie-up has just been this whole, we want a first, we're not giving you a first.
Done. There was a deal
we're not giving you a first.
There was a deal in place, and the Green Bay Packers tried to rescind it at the last moment.
Yes.
And the Jets had that deal, which is probably still on the table, that they're just waiting it out. Because, listen, I understand what your hypothetical is saying, but there's no other team. You've made it clear who his destination is going to be. You didn't say, hey, we're open for business. Come get Aaron Rodgers as you please, like Seattle did. Like Seattle was like, yeah, we're going to trade Russell Wilson. They didn't say, hey, we're strictly trading him to Denver. They just said we're trading Russell Wilson. So they had the leverage in that regard. And he came off an injury similar to what Rodgers was doing. The difference between Rodgers and Russell Wilson is that Wilson didn't say where he wanted to go. The Seattle Seahawks didn't tell him where he wanted to go. They just fielded offers, and the best one came in. The Packers have dropped the ball here. If they said nothing and said, we're shopping Aaron Rodgers, if we get the best offer, this is what we want, it would have told me, okay, they like Aaron Rodgers enough to keep him, and then they would have kept him. Then if I'm Jordan Love, I go, hey, give me my release then, because I want to be a starter in the league. And so now there's the conundrum that they have for the Packers. And not to mention, in a press conference twice, the general manager of the Green Bay Packers basically had said he doesn't want him back. They don't like him. And they're basically I feel bad for Green Bay because they really look childish here. They really do. You could have ridded yourself of this guy of whatever the picks were for the Jets, moved on, and kept it going. Instead, you're dragging your feet for what?
I mean,
no team's coming in.
NFL, weird things happen. I mean, I don't know. Weird things happen,
especially
man.
at the NFL draft.
Do crazy shit. You got teams like the Las Vegas Raiders that are absolute wild cards. You never know what the hell they expect from teams like that. They sitting there. They got Devontae Adams. They franchise Josh Jacobs. Or they say, oh, you know what, Green Bay, we'll give you 2 first-round picks. Let's get Aaron Rodgers over here.
But he doesn't want to play for that team.
Devontae Adams. It doesn't matter. This is a
he has no trade clause.
He has a no trade clause. So
it does matter because he can dictate where he can go. I mean, I understand. Like Odell Beckham Jr. didn't have a no trade clause. They say he wanted to go to L.A. They sent him to freaking go career death in Cleveland. They're saying, you know what? Screw you. We're sending you to the worst possible place in NFL, and that's Cleveland, Ohio, where good careers go to die. Okay, that's what they said. They didn't want to trade him to L.A.
like what I can see happening is what to Mac's point. It's like the NFL draft's going on. You know what I'm saying? We have teams that is outside of the elite. Not we don't know if they're elite. Outside of the top three. What I say better said. That being said, at the end of the day, nothing's going on. The Jets are like, screw it. You know what I'm saying? We're pulling out, even though we don't know who the fuck the quarterback's going to be, but we're pulling out. You know what I'm saying? They have a stud offense with a lot of receivers there. You know what I'm saying? They're pulled out. Then you have teams like maybe Green Bay don't want him, so they can shop him to teams like Tampa or teams like the Titans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're assuming right now that they're going to be able to. Those teams know that they're going to have a chance to get him. Because if the Jets, who have all the momentum to go get him, right, 13th pick is not. I would give up the 13th pick at worst and say that's the only thing I'm giving you. I'm going to give you the first and a third this year. Bang, done. Right.
But that's what I'm saying. If the Jets don't bridge and Tampa's sitting there outside of the top 10, right outside of the top 10, you know what I'm saying?
But I need the first and Zach Wilson. I'll take that all day. Give me the first and Zach Wilson. Their first round pick and Zach Wilson. That should be.
You don't, but what do you need Zach Wilson for? You have Jordan Love on the team. You drafted him first overall. Now you're gonna bring in another.
The Green Bay. No, Mac. It's Green Bay model. They want to do the same thing they did. You know what I'm saying? They want to leave him benched for 3 years.
And the Jets,
when he comes in, he's going to be the next big thing.
This is a big story. That's
and the Jets, for some reason, wanted to try to keep Zach Wilson there because Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers apparently been training together, and they believe that Aaron Rodgers might be the type of quarterback that can help out a young player like Zach Wilson who's lost completely, and they're hoping that Aaron Rodgers being there for a year or two can help out a kid like Zach Wilson because they haven't given up on Zach Wilson. It's clear as day. No matter what they say, the Jets
Aaron Rodgers don't help kids. Ask Jordan Love.
No, he doesn't. But there's got to be a reason why.
Rodgers provides.
You're right, but he does have a rapport with Wilson, and that's a fact. That has nothing to do with, he may not like a guy coming in and taking his job. He'll know that Zach Wilson's not taking his job. He already knows Zach Wilson from meetings that they've had throughout camps in their career. I'm not saying he wants to be a mentor because Ryan Tannehill said the same thing about Malik Willis last year. Yo, kid, get on your own study habits because I ain't teaching you shit. You know what I mean? You're coming here and taking your job. And I feel the same way. I'm not going to teach my replacement all the tricks of the trade, you know what I'm saying? But obviously you're on a football team. You want somebody to look. But having a guy like that, because Wilson has not had anybody to look up to in that Jet locker room. Daniel Jones at least had a year of Eli Manning or at least Eli Manning in the building to lean on to be like, hey, man, how can I get through this? Eli was there coaching him, helping him out, right? I think it really helped him that rookie year when he was there because he had somebody to lean on when the times were hard. Zach Wilson didn't have that. They didn't do him any favors, right? The offensive coordinator basically was like, screw it. You got to get out of your own head. They're going to coddle. They're going to – that's what you do. Sometimes that's how coaches mess up players. They don't want to coddle him. They kind of give you the rope. I'm like, do whatever you want to do. Get over it. And sometimes players, like a guy like Zach Wilson who's never been to a big city, needs a little bit more of a pat on the back once in a while. Saying, hey, man, you're doing a good job. Work on this. When you get a guy discouraged, when you get a guy who doesn't have good study habits, when you get a guy to get alienated from the team because that's what's happened, and the coach is not stepping in and trying to mend that relationship, it's they're doing things wrong. Like, if you want to say something, if you want to be John Mara here, and be like, wow, we really haven't done anything well for the kid, right? That's what they're doing for the Jets. They haven't done much well for him. For Wilson, they just started to put pieces together.
But he also hadn't done much well for himself either because those microphones.
But we had the same.
And he was saying
he's like,
the stupid shit that was coming out of his own mouth. He's a grown ass man. He's a grown man. At the end of the day, he's a grown damn man. At the end of the day, you got to still know how to speak, know how to talk to the media, and I'm not going to make that the coach's fault.
I'm not making
that this guy is out here. This guy won't accept responsibility. For
that, yes, that's on him. That's on him. I get it. Right, that's on him. But I will be honest with you.
Do you think the offense can help the defense? No, I think we're like, what are you doing? But I know that wasn't your point, Adam. I
get you. I know what you're saying about him not having a lot of. He hasn't had people to look up to. I get that. I understand that. I do get you. What you're saying, man. But at the end of the day, you also still gotta.
Well, listen, he's
taking a little bit of responsibility yourself too.
Look, Joe Flacco ain't really helping you out, bro. He's not going to be like, hey, man,
No, Joe Flacco can't even help himself.
He's trying to keep a lifeline in the league, so he's going to tell you. He's not going to tell
That's
you.
what
shit.
I'm going to say.
Like,
Flacco,
right? He
not
needs
even
a
Mike
lifeline.
Ray could help
He's
himself.
Like, his career's on life support, so he's not really going to be helping you out, saying, "Hey, kid, I'm going to be your teacher," right? So they're like I said, when they brought in Daniel Jones, they had Mike Shula work with Daniel Jones specifically during the week. Right, and they brought in a QB's coach for him. They did all this stuff, and then the OC was Pat Shermer. The OC was technically Mike Shula, but he never called the plays. Why? Because all he did was focus on Daniel Jones.
Shula.
When they brought in Joe Judge, they tried to do the same thing, but it didn't help out because they didn't have the same system, so he blew his confidence. And they treated him kind of the same way they treated Wilson. You turn the ball over, you're going to lose your job, right?
Legend.
And they didn't give him any confidence, and that's why he became the guy he is. I still think has average traits, but that's why I think those 2 seasons with Joe Judge, he fell in the way he fell. Now, that also has to do with average. Now, I'm not saying Zach Wilson's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying sometimes if you're a head coach, you've got to figure out what motivates these guys, and you've got to figure out how to get the best out of them. And if he's as dumb as a light bulb saying, well, then you got to be like, yo, man, we got to pull you back and say that. He ain't got an Eli Manning that stands there and takes bullets, takes battles, has been through wars. Eli Manning has had so many people come at him in so many different ways.
He's arrogant, Adam. He was acting too arrogant for himself, and his skills weren't translating on the football field. His attitude is going to come below.
I get that. But what I'm trying to tell you is when you bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is his buddy, who can get the team to rally around him again, right? Because that's what's going to happen when you bring in Aaron Rodgers. He's going to sit there with Nathaniel Hackett in that quarterback room making jokes with the kid, and the kids are going to be comfortable and see what he's got to do.
I know
whether or not he takes that information that he gives him and goes, I don't know. But I do believe bringing a guy like Aaron Rodgers helps a kid like that. Now, Zach Wilson could be caca. He's only played basically a rookie season's worth of football.
Does
all right. Let's
get an award for getting the best out of Geno Smith?
Excuse me?
No, I was just because Adam said something really good, and I was like, dude, they should give an award to Pete Carroll for getting the best out of Geno Smith.
Well, that's what
happened. Yeah.
Right.
He's a good coach.
Absolutely. That's what he did. He took Geno and said, hey, listen, you fit the offense, and he ran it correctly.
Also, Doug Peterson, what he did over there in Jacksonville. Yes, Adam did say caca next shift.
Let's move up to another football topic real quick. Earlier this week, another prominent wide receiver made quite a unusual announcement. Talking about down in Miami, Tyreek Hill saying that he plans on retiring after his contract expires in 2025. Just want to know you guys' opinion, how you guys feel. Think it's kind of unusual for a guy to kind of announce his retirement 2 years prior to it happening, and a guy of this skill set who you would think, barring some kind of major injury or anything, is going to still be playing at a really, really high level. How do you guys feel about this announcement Tyreek Hill made earlier this week?
How old is Tyreek?
How old is Tyreek?
Like 28, 29 or something. Like 28 or 29 or something like that.
He's 29 years old.
Honestly, I kind of love it. I kind of love it because this is just a hypothetical. This is just me in my mind. I'm looking at it, and I love a player going out on the own build. Obviously he's given us a deadline on when he wants to retire. We'll see what happens if he really does. But the only thing I'm thinking about it, on reason why he's probably setting that up, is he's down in Miami. Maybe he has a lot of connections now, and maybe he has his YouTube channel, and maybe he's getting into some businesses, and he's kind of seeing that, hey, I want to invest in I did football. We see these other football players like Pat McAfee going and having their shows now. And he wants to go and do his own thing outside of football, and to retire at the age of, he's going to be around 30, 31. That he did football his whole life. This kid been playing since the age of 5, and he's already, one of the top receivers that we have nowadays, you know what I'm saying? And has good numbers to earn him definitely probably in the top 40 of all time, and we'll see where he ends up when he actually retires. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, I kind of love it, and the only thing I think of why he would retire early is because he has other ventures and other maybe opportunities on the horizon. Go
Well,
right
and
ahead.
this just was tweeted from Bleacher Report. I don't know if you saw it, Mac, but apparently Lamar just FaceTime Odell, and he talks about the two of them possibly winning a Super Bowl together. So
Nice.
there's like maybe there's some evidence right there about maybe Lamar staying with the Ravens. But just to talk about Tyreek Hill, it could have something to do with that, but it also maybe could do some. Maybe Tyreek Hill doesn't want to be one of those types of players that just wants to keep hanging on when he's past his prime. He wants to be able to go out before he's like old, decrepit, nowhere near the type of player he was before, just to keep playing, just because he loves playing the game, but he's nowhere near the player he was. So maybe he wants to go out at a high level, and then because he's already won a Super Bowl, he's already accomplished a whole lot in his career, maybe that could just be it. And like you mentioned, it could have something to do with business, but also, I mean, we see so many players in every sport that just continue to want to play, and then they're nowhere near the same type of athlete that they were, and they just hang on and hang on and hang on. It sort of, destroys their legacy that they had before. Tyreek Hill might be thinking at this point, I'm going to be 30, 31 years old. That's about the time where wide receivers start declining, because wide receivers usually, for the most part, they really start going on the downtrot in like their early to mid 30s. So maybe that's what Hill is thinking. I'm only going to be at a certain level until like for another 2-3 years. And then maybe the best thing to do is just to get out of there at this point, because I've accomplished so much. I'm already giving you an all-time great. I could potentially be a future Hall of Famer. What else do I have to really accomplish unless the Dolphins go on like a run or Super Bowl run in the next couple of years? So we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, things could change from now until 2 years later, but he could just be that. Could be business related, and maybe he just doesn't want to be one of those athletes that hangs on.
I don't know.
That's two.
I think
awesome.
I think it's a state tax. You go down to Florida, you make more money now. He, got paid twice. He's a four-time All-Pro. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler. He's at 8,000 yards. If he gets 10,000 yards, he'll probably be in the Hall of Fame. That's about 2 seasons worth of football for him, basically. So why not? I don't know. The thing about him, he's a physical freak, and he's a smaller guy. And these guys tend to last a lot longer than some of the big physical receivers that we see over its day. Although Larry Fitzgerald lasted almost 17 years.
He's like the modern day Deshaun Jackson in a way, just a guy with incredible speed.
Right. And so what happens is that maybe he does have ventures down there. Maybe he's going to live a life of what he does. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because he's letting the team know, hey, in 2 years, I'm going to consider retirement. Look for my replacement, or you already have your replacement in Waddle, right? It's not like Tiki Barber, who does it in the middle of the season, right? Or a team that he does it abruptly, right? Like we had this happen with Michael Strahan every year. He was going to retire. He never let the team know until like training camp. This guy's letting you know, hey, I want to try to play for the next 2 years and see where it takes me, right? And maybe he wants to walk in 20 years. Maybe he knows, hey man, the probability of my bones being, wrecked at 34 when they are when I'm 31, right? It could be a factor. I mean, think about it. Look at Antonio Brown. That guy went from being the highest of the highs to now the lowest of the lows. He's shaking his booty on stage and doing naked photos in Vegas and shit. I mean, that guy will never get a job again. This guy can retire. He's won a Super Bowl with Andy Reid, and
these are his stats right now.
Right? He's right. Look at that. 67 TDs. Right? You give him that's 1,700 yards to get to 10,000, which will basically put him in. If we're like in baseball, 300's your Hall of Fame numbers, like not necessarily automatic, but consideration. Well, guess what? 10,000 yards for him will be, plus his all-purpose yards, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. With that one Super Bowl that he was there and the Kansas City teams that were dominant, he's going to be there. Coming from a 5th-round pick, he's got everything that leads you to be in the Hall of Fame. Do people like it? I don't think it's that bad of an idea to tell somebody, hey man, I feel like I'm going to retire in a couple of years. I mean, we do it as people, right? When you're sitting there at your job and you're an old head, you're like, hey man, maybe I'm going to hang it up in a couple of years. You let people know, right? And then when that couple of years happens, at that point you can decide, hey, I'm retiring or not. Same thing with football players. Remember, a lot of people don't get told when they get to leave this game, right? So you get to tell somebody now, hey, man, I'm going to leave this game in 2 years with my eyeballs in check, my knees in check, my health in check, and better than leaving on a body bag.
Yep.
Good point, Adam.
I mean, I agree. I'm really good. I'm good with it too overall. I mean, personally, I don't mind him making that kind of decision if he wants to announce it now or say it now. But if I get into the mind of maybe the coaches or a coach or somebody, within the organization, my only thing I would question is the commitment going to be? Are we going to get that full commitment for the next 2 years as well? Are you already looking forward to your new ventures after the contract's up? Are you so like that? That would be the only thing that I would personally question if I was like a GM or a coach with someone within your organization. Just questioning as long as the commitment going to be the strong commitment for the next 2 years. And go out. I mean, I think with a guy like Tyreek Hill, the competitor he is, I wouldn't really think anything less. I mean, he's a winner. He wants to go out there and get it. But at the same time, that would be about it. Other than that, you're right. I think the man, he has the right to just say, look, I'm not going to play beyond this contract. I'm going to hang it up no matter what. You know what I mean? And you're right. He's already pretty much accomplished. I mean, let's face it, wide receivers and shit. Anybody other than quarterbacks don't really get the league MVP awards anyway. So, that's pretty much about the only other real major individual goal he could get accomplished.
Thank you.
And it's not likely to happen anyway because he's not a quarterback. So, like I said, he's done. He's won a Super Bowl. He's felt that experience. Go out these last couple of years in Miami, go out there and ball out and say, hang it up at 31, still with good, healthy knees, good, everything's still intact.
I mean, look at
move on to your next business venture in life.
Odell's
beat up.
Tyreek Hill's never really had a serious injury in his career.
Right. I mean, Odell's shattered his ankle, tore his knee twice. Has had a couple bumps, bad high ankle sprains. Right. So this guy's hanging like Odell Beckham Jr. is a brand, and if he wanted to retire, I'm sure he could do other endeavors, reality shows, and still kind of be a pop star because of what he did. Tyreek Hill doesn't have that same fame level. He doesn't have that same. He's a good player. He's arguably better than Odell on the field, but off the field, he doesn't have that same accolades. But when you look at it, Calvin Johnson retired at 31. I mean, it was more because the team stunk. But he retired at 31.
He was beat.
He had to fucking ask for his $1 million back. Fuck you,
like Tiki Barber decided, I wanted to leave on the prime. Remember, Tiki Barber stays on. Tiki Barber wins that Super Bowl with the Giants. He's in the Hall of Fame, no doubt about it. In my mind, he would be in the Hall of Fame right now. We wouldn't even be talking about.
Monty Toomer played another year. He could have been in contention for a Hall of Fame. He just missed 10,000 yards.
Yeah, he's at 9,000.
Well, I mean, he did play another year, and he was not good. So. He was.
I think he got hurt that season. The reason why.
Well, 2008, he was the lead dog after Plaxico shot himself. He couldn't really, function. Then 2009, he went to Kansas City and couldn't do anything. He wasn't performing like Jerry Rice was at the same peak as he was. So yes, I would have loved to have seen Amani make it. I think he's a good receiver. He's one of the best that we don't talk about, and we'll get into that down the road. I'm sure we'll have a nostalgia Hall of Fame kind of talk when it comes down the road. But for this segment here, it's just a guy like this. You've done everything. You've accomplished everything in the NFL. Minus what league? You've won a Super Bowl. You've been an All-Pro. You've made enormous amounts of money. Okay. Yeah. You're relatively healthy throughout your career. If you look at the numbers that he's played majority of 12 plus games a year. Right. And let's think about this. 1,700 yards ain't, we're not talking about, unattainable stuff here. He can get 800 yards, 850 and 850 for 2 years. And that's 10,000. Right. And we think he's going to exceed that number. And he's also showing you that he can play without Patrick Mahomes. So my thing is this: players, they either hang on too long, and we're sitting there looking at these guys as they whittle away like Gary Payton did and Karl Malone did in the NBA, where they're just hanging on to win championships, and you're like, you dude, get out of here already, right? We don't always have the physical freak like LeBron James. LeBron James will be the guy who's like, he's going to continue playing until he's like Tom Brady's age, and he'll just tell you when he's ready to go, right? I don't feel it's a distraction, only because you're saying 2 years from now. Like, you got me locked in for the rest of this contract, which I think is 2 years. So you have me here. Now, if you want to say during the season, if they have a bad year in 2024 or whatever it is, that he's going to dog it, then that might be something that we have to cross that bridge when we get there. But we'll see.
Exactly. No, well said, Adam. That
Well,
could be the
all right.
case.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen. All right, gentlemen. Great football talk right there. Good talk about the NFL, things going around the league right now. But it's time to get ready for the NBA playoffs, fellas. I know you guys are excited. I know you guys got some dogs in the fight. Even though I know Zion, your dogs it's kind of questionable, but they in there.
We holding
They
on.
in the fight.
We
You know what I mean?
crawling slowly.
They got a shot. They got that. They get the opportunity at least. The Miami
they got a
Heat
play-in
talked
game, right?
about. But we got a playoff preview earlier this afternoon. Didn't go so well for you, Jeff. I'm sorry to say,
We
but
set the backup. We played the backups. Everybody sad.
so
Since when do you? When did the NBA play backup players?
They
Like,
just did
I
it
mean,
this
I didn't know that was a
afternoon.
thing in
Both
the
teams-
NBA either.
That's
It
what I'm
just
saying,
gives me-
Mac.
it
You know what I'm
gives me
saying?
more
Like,
of a reason to feel disgusted with it. It feels gives me
they
more of a
sat-
reason
both
to
teams
feel
sat
disgusted with
everybody.
the NBA.
but Mac,
You know?
that's what I'm saying. Like,
So-
Mac, you brought it up. You bring it up like this is the NBA. When have we like, oh well, we're gonna sit players tonight? You know, like what?
Yeah, they
That's
did
never
it.
been a
They
thing
did
ever
it.
in my whole entire life.
Oh
But but how you feeling about them? Their first round series against some Philadelphia 76ers, Jeff?
Well, I actually feel Adam might be shocked. I actually feel kind of confident going into this series because the last time we played against Philadelphia, we actually competed with them very closely. I think that Claxton is one of those types of centers that could actually give somebody like Embiid a little bit of trouble because of the fact he's an aggressive center. He's very good at rebounding. He can block shots. Embiid is going to obviously overpower him, and he's just a better overall, more athletic center. But I don't think Claxton is really going to have that difficult of a time. And you're talking about a team now that has gelled throughout this entire time period. Mikal Bridges is emerging into a young superstar in this league. We already knew how good he was defensively, and now he's averaging about 25, 30 points a game since he was traded at the trade deadline to the Brooklyn Nets. Spencer Dinwiddie's getting about 10 to 12 assists per game. I mean, you're getting production right now from Cam Johnson, if he could just get his sharpshooting down pat. You also have Dorian Finney-Smith, who in my opinion is the biggest wild card on this entire team. He's got to be able to knock down the three-point shot and give them some type of productivity as well as play good defensively. I think it's going to be a more competitive series than anybody believes because the one thing the Nets have that could frustrate a team like Philadelphia is length. They have length at every single position on that team, and they all together can be a very good defensive team. It's just the problem, who is going to consistently get points offensively? That's the biggest issue because Cam Johnson is incredibly erratic. Spencer Dinwiddie's had games where he's pretty much not made a shot. I mean, Cam Johnson's had bad games. Dorian Finney-Smith for a good amount of stretch. He couldn't score at all. Claxton's more of a defensive and rebounding center. And then the bench. The bench is one of the most erratic things you could see. There's some games where you could get, 10, 15 points from Seth Curry. I said Steph. Seth Curry. I wish it was Steph. Seth Curry and Joe Harris, as well as Royce O'Neal, who I like a lot. I don't know how Adam feels about him. I like Royce O'Neal a lot. I think he's one of the most underrated players on that team, and he could give you something that some of the other guys in the starting lineup can't do. But do I think that the Nets could win this series? I think it might be a little bit of a stretch. Obviously, Vegas doesn't think we have a chance in hell by what they put out there, but who gives a crap what Vegas has to say? I think this is going to be a more competitive series than people think, and I think that the Nets do have a shot because they have the one thing that can frustrate Philadelphia. And plus, remember who is on Philadelphia? The choke artist himself, James Harden, who we all know when the NBA playoffs comes around, that's when James Harden disappears from the limelight and he can't do jack. So in my opinion, and this is how I felt about the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid is a beast. The dude is probably the MVP of the NBA this year. But does anybody else on that team you could really trust outside of Joel Embiid to put up consistently good numbers and play well? I think Tyrese Maxey is a solid player. If you talk to Sixers fans, they all think that Tobias Harris sucks. So, I mean, that's really that case. So, I mean, I think the Nets and the Sixers could have themselves a pretty competitive series, and I would be shocked if they go at least 6 games. Do I think the Nets are going to win? That might be a bit of a stretch, but I think this series might be more competitive than people really think. Adam?
Listen, man, the Nets are, going to be in a fight. I think
Hey, Jim.
First round matchups are key. I don't think they're going to win. I think probably 2 games we're talking here. But it really will depend on how the 76ers mentally get over their hurdles, because sometimes they'll get in their own head. When Joel Embiid is probably the most fragile NBA center I've ever seen in my life in terms of mental state. I'm just saying, like, mental state.
You're right, he is.
The guy gets backed into a corner, and instead of rising up to the occasion, he's sitting there like, and he like crumbles. And then you have James Harden, who, if Harden's shot's not going down, he has no game whatsoever because he doesn't know what to do. He's not necessary. The thing is, what is that saying? You're a jack of all trades but a master of none. That is what James Harden is. He doesn't have much go-to, right? He doesn't have like Steph Curry can shoot the lights out the gym, but then he can also drive the basket a little bit and create that way to kind of get his shot rhythm going. James Harden misses shots, then gets into his head, then he does nothing. He contributes nothing. If he doesn't score points, you lose because he doesn't play defense. You know what I mean? Listen, the Sixers are going to beat the Nets just because of talent alone and because that's what's going to happen. But it's whether or not they're going to beat Milwaukee and Boston. That's what the Sixers have to look forward to. Okay, because Boston, I feel, is a good team. When Tatum is on, I think they're almost unbeatable. And I think the Milwaukee Bucks are a very good overall basketball team. What I mean by that is they can beat you in many different ways. They pass to get their own shot. They play good defense. They don't make stupid plays. The game against the Warriors I always reference because they had a chance to beat the Warriors and they didn't because they couldn't finish them because they didn't have their go-to guy on the floor that helped open everybody else up. When they have the Greek Freak on the floor, they're a totally different team to be reckoned with. So, yes, 76ers, you can dance on our face and laugh about how you're going to beat us, right? But remember this, the Nets gave away everybody, and they're still in this game, right? They got a lot of aspiring young players who I hope they actually keep and not do what the Nets do, and that's these players get good, and in 2 years we ship them off for some aging star to try to chase some ring, because that's what the Nets have done for the past half a decade or more. Since we got Deron Williams, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. Well,
one of those guys right now is going to be a restricted free agent this offseason. That's Cam Johnson. Are you willing to pay him a good amount of money to keep him here? And Bridges and Claxton are on very affordable deals. Wouldn't be shocked if they get longer term, more expensive deals too.
I'm going to take a page out of Joe Shane's playbook here, and I'm going to sign my guys because they are my guys, right? Yeah. The NBA, listen, sometimes there is, like, you go to your jobs and you want to get a raise, right? Because you performed at a high level. We'll pay the guy what he deserves. Now, if you say, we get into this, don't pay him, you've got a young player here who may want to be here. If he wants to be here, fine. Say, hey, man, we're going to give you what we can within our cap restrictions. Sometimes you can't pay the guy because your budget is overspent on other players like Leonard Williams and such, right? So you can't spend where you want to spend. But if you can, do it. Why not keep your good players? Why not retain players? Letting them walk is what's been the problem with this Nets team. Okay, we've let these guys go. We trade them away, and then we have a barren cupboard. And because the East is always weak, here we are still in the playoff hunt. And what I like about this
season, and Jared Allen, anybody?
Please don't bring those names up. It hurts every time I think.
It hurts my soul, Adam, that those two guys are thriving in Cleveland, and I got to watch them. We have to watch them play well. It kills me as a fan.
And my thing is this. This is where, people say, hey, they always have that argument. Well, we want to get rid of a guy, good riddance. Evan Ingram comes to mind, right? But when they're good players, and they're good players, and you're getting rid of them for aging stars because you want to chase some ring, where if you kept them on the team, maybe you're closer. Like, look what Boston did. Boston built their team through the draft, and they are a contender every year.
Yeah.
Because
they supplemented players all around that core they have, that young core.
Right.
Like Golden State did it too.
Right. Well, and then they bring up guys in the system to keep playing. Because they're not like, hey, let me just trade this guy away. I mean, when they have an abundance of those guys, yes, that's what you do. You have 3 guys who play the shooting guard position and you can only afford to pay 2, then yes, maybe I trade the 3rd one. You know what I mean? Yeah, I understand it's business. But when you have a team like this, like the Nets, who made the playoffs after trading away your 2 top stars away, right? Everyone was laughing at the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, you guys stink, you're not going to make the play. And here we are.
Yep.
And now you want to tell me in free agency I want to let these guys walk? Come on.
I think kudos to Jacques Vaughn quickly too. I mean, the job that he's done with this whole entire season. I don't know how Adam you feel, but I've never had a troubling more season than what I've had to deal with this Nets team throughout the entire time. And the fact that they still managed to have 45 wins after all the turmoil this team has gone through. Kudos to Jacques Vaughn for getting this team centered. Yeah,
let's hope he gets a good shot to flourish, because that was the problem with Steve Nash. He did not play. He did not know what to do when his stars weren't in the game. He was like, bad coaching decisions. This guy, Vaughn, can't make those bad coaching decisions because his team is, he has average players all around. So those decisions are a lot more impactful than Steve Nash. So I think what he did was he took a team and rallied them and said, hey, guys, just play within your means, play within your game. There are no stars. This is where I think sometimes when you take away stars, I think teams flourish more, right? You took away Jeremy Shockey from Eli Manning, all of a sudden he opened up passing. You took Matthew Stafford and you took him off that Lions team without Calvin Johnson, and he flourished. Why? Because sometimes when you have these stars, KD and ISO, which I call Kyrie Irving, because when Kyrie Irving gets the ball, you ain't doing nothing. You're just watching.
Yeah, have fun sitting at home, Kyrie. Have fun. Have fun. You really, really succeeded very well over there in Dallas, didn't you, buddy? Have fun at home.
But anyways, that's what I mean. I'm excited for the Brooklyn Nets. Good luck.
Too.
And Philadelphia, it's not going to be an easy sweep.
No. I'm not expecting
good stuff, and good luck. Good luck to the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. As far as up here with Levance, Cleveland and Knicks, who I got. Yeah, I'm going to go with Cleveland here too, bro. I just think too much Donovan Mitchell and company. Donovan Mitchell's playing really good basketball. And I just believe it's just going to be a little too much, man. I think it's going to be a little too much for the Knicks to handle. At the same time, man, the Knicks, they worked hard. They scrapped up, got that number 5 seed. We'll see, man. They've been scrappy down the stretch here. So I think it'll be a very fun series. It could be a very fun, enjoyable series. But I like Cleveland.
Until they hit a good team.
Well, I think that the thing with the Knicks could be what's the health and the status of Julius Randle, because he's got that ankle issue right now, and it seems like it's going to be right at the timeline of when he's supposed to be coming back. And if he's healthy and he's about near 100%, that could be a big bonus for the Knicks because of the type of season that Randle has had over there. If he's not able to play, that takes away an element to their offense that they haven't really been able to have anybody else on their roster to be able to fill in. I mean, Jalen Brunson's been terrific. RJ Barrett has been up and down this entire season. He's really the key to that team. If RJ Barrett could just give them some type of consistent offense out there, the Knicks could have a shot at potentially taking the series against Cleveland, because Cleveland is a young team that's really getting their first opportunity here at playoff success. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm that this Knicks team, who has some players with some playoff success, they could upset them.
The leader of the pack, though, is very much playoff tested, and I think that's going to help this Cleveland team out. Donovan Mitchell has been in those playoff wars. He's not new to this playoff.
Was he on Utah?
So.
Yeah, he was on Utah.
And got you back, Zion. How you feeling on Tuesday night? How you feel on Tuesday night about your Miami Heat?
I just want to say this. I am not concerned at all. Eric
you better hope they win.
Eric shows once again. Hold up. Eric shows once. Sorry, you was gonna say something, Adam?
If they don't win, you're gonna get blown up every day in the chat.
Hold up.
It's not happening. Remember you said last week it was gonna happen? It's not happening.
Okay, it's not happening because you know why? As a Heat fan, like look at these Brooklyn fans. They all like they know what's happening. There's no confidence for the team because it's a boy who called wolf. Look what the team does to these Brooklyn fans. It's so sad. Miami Heat. They don't do that to us. You know, they don't give us.
Are you talking trash right now? Because
No, I'm not
Yeah,
talking
I
trash.
don't
I'm
think
talking
he
trash
did.
about
your team's
ownership.
in a playing game.
I'm talking trash about ownership.
We've been talking about our owner for a while.
Hey,
I think the Nets owner sometimes is a clown. The
I'm
way
talking
he
about
acts.
ownership. I'm separating
Listen, just
ownership
because
right
we don't have
now.
a friggin' club on the top of our
The
stadium, okay,
the
doesn't mean we don't
the
have fun.
Brooklyn Nets, the franchise hangs this thing at the end, and they get all their fans excited, and then it's to the point where the fans don't even have hope in the teams that they can get it done and reach the finals.
Oh, I've got hope. I've
You
got
know?
hope in this team. I
So
like what the Nets are
just want
building. I do.
Listen,
some
you're
small
in a
shit.
We
playing
enjoy
game.
the
This is what I have to say.
You're
This is what I have to
playing
say. This is what I have
game.
to say.
What? Come on, you trash it.
Eric
We
is one
pitched
of the
three
best
times.
coaches
Guys,
in the
they
league.
are the Southeast Division champions. They are
Respect.
the
Let's just say
Southeastern
this.
Division champions. All right.
Eric is one of the
Look
Look
best
at us in the
coaches.
playing game.
Let me tell you. Let me get my point, and you guys will see why I'm so confident. Eric is one of the best coaches in the league. Reason is our whole team has been injury plagued the entire season. And when Eric is sitting down and he's like, yo, this can come down to this weekend. And he's all like, oh, wait, could we force our team to go play a game half injured? Or should we just, you know what, screw the 6th seed. Let's get our healthy roster healthy so we can go compete. You have Haslam dropping 25 points? Haslam?
Yeah, I heard
Like,
about
wait,
that.
what? You know what I'm saying? That is a confident coach.
You
So
Giannis,
I
turn
believe
it
in
back.
you guys.
Giannis
I
has
believe
them.
you guys can go get it done against the Hawks. I believe in you guys. I know this team will win all 11. That's what this coach is saying. So you know what? Let's rest.
I
Let's
like the
rest.
Hawks coach.
Let's get healthy. Let's get healthy. Let's get healthy. All right. Then I'm not overlooking the Hawks, man. The Hawks is a tough team. The Hawks is a tough team. But you know what happens this time around? You know what
They got
happens?
that little point guard.
We get
Watch out for their
we have
shooting.
someone named Jimmy Butler who's technically Goku.
Oh.
Now Goku needs is Z fighters, and Goku can get to the Super Saiyan mode. It happened 2 years in a row. It's gonna happen again. And guess what happens? I'm not trying to dismiss Hawks. When we get past the Hawks, I see you, Boston. I know what's coming. Guess what? When Goku ran against Majin Buu, Goku was only Super Saiyan 2. But when he sees Boston again, he's going to level up to Super Saiyan 3 because when Goku had to level up to Super Saiyan 3 to take on Evo Buu and Super Buu. So when Butler levels up to Super Saiyan 3, and he has
are we talking
right
about
there,
Dragon Ball Z?
I'm comparing
Yes, he
him because
is.
he
Yes, he
levels up.
is. Yes, he is.
When
Bam
Goku, aka Jimmy Butler,
Adebayo.
gets into the Super Saiyan mode, and he has Bam right there, healthy.
You know
Shout out to Eric for the rest.
Man, you guys couldn't
Tyler
even
right
beat
there.
us. You
Miami
couldn't
Heat
even
fans-
beat us.
Miami
We just
Heat fans.
we just smoked
Look.
76ers.
Yeah, you are
we
smoking.
smoked
You're
you.
smoking. That's what you're doing. You're smoking a lot of.
When the
Hot
Miami
air.
Heat go further in the playoffs than the Brooklyn, I'll have the final laugh.
Listen,
Yes, we are in the
Miami,
play-in
Miami, Miami,
Yes, we are in the play-in too. When
Miami
we
Heat
handle
fans,
Boston, all I want to hear is
Heard it
thank
here
you.
first.
When we handle Boston, all I want to hear is thank you.
Miami
You're not
Heat
beating
fans
Boston.
are like the Cowboy fans. They are delusional. They think they're better than they are. Sure, you're in a play-in game. Do you know how your season comes down to
How much
one?
championships have you got the last
They won their
20
division,
years?
Adam.
3.
Adam, they won their division. Okay.
The
They
division.
We won our
mediocrity.
division by one game. You guys are in the tournament by one game.
We
45,
qualified.
44.
You still haven't
40,
qualified.
45. You
We
make like your
qualified
teams
for
out
the
there putting
tournament.
up like
You know what a
50.
tournament
We
game
just
is?
traded away 2 of our top players, and we still managed to win
They feel
45
bad for you.
games.
They feel
I'm
bad for
just
you, so they
saying,
put you in a game.
your team is
to hope
untested
that
in the
you can get in.
playoffs. Your team's untested in the playoffs. All these youngins untested. Talking about
You're
Cleveland.
talking
Cleveland got
about Cleveland.
Gorless.
Your
Cleveland
team
got
is
Mitchell.
old.
Cleveland
Your
gonna be
team
all
is
right.
old.
We're gonna
Against
bring in
the
the
Knicks.
power.
Cleveland gonna be all right because Cleveland is gonna be all right. But you want to talk about being untested? Yeah, your team's the ultimate untested team in the playoffs.
We're gonna
Let's
bring
go
in
out
Power
west. Let's go out
Rangers
west.
and
Talking to you
Ninja
brought
Turtles.
something up. You said
Yeah.
untested. Talking about untested. Let's go out west. Welcome back to the NBA postseason. Sacramento Kings.
2013.
All you got
Yes.
standing in front of you are the number 6 seed Golden State Warriors. How you like them apples, man?
Ooh.
How y'all feeling about this series right here?
It's gonna be one hell of a
Sacramento
series,
Kings,
that's for
Golden
sure.
It's going
State
to be a great
Warriors
series.
Listen,
out west.
I will
man.
say this. I can't wait to watch both fan bases in this series because Sacramento they're gonna have a whiteout. They're gonna have towels going. I cannot wait to see it. It's been a long time coming. There's a few teams I love seeing in the playoffs. That's the Warriors because their fan base is rabid, right?
Yes.
Sacramento is one of them. Portland, I love. There's a lot of just these great fan bases that when their teams get to the playoffs, they're absolutely nuts. And Sacramento Kings, welcome back. You deserve it.
Absolutely.
I hope it goes as good for you as it did for those memorable Kings team, even a little better because, they had referees shaving points for you. But that's here nor there. We're not going to talk about that controversy back in the day because the Lakers were winning everything just like John Cena and Triple H in the WWE, but they needed a little help from their friends, a.k.a. the refs. But with that being said, the Sacramento Kings, I love you guys. Have fun. Don't worry about the outcome. You're playing a battle-tested team in the Warriors, who I told you weren't going to reside at the 7th seed. And judging by the way they're playing, they're probably going to handle the Kings, but it will be fun to watch that fan base get re-energized in that city, and it's been a long time coming.
The Thunder, you mean the Warriors? It's playoff mode. They're getting ready and getting into that playoff mode, and they're getting their guys back. Gary Payton Jr. is back. They're getting Andrew Wiggins back. Their top players are starting to play like top players now. And when the Warriors get into the playoffs, they just become a different monster. And I think the Kings have had an incredible story. I thought they've been a great team so far, a mix of good veterans and a good bunch of good young players. I think the head coach has done an excellent job over there, Mike Brown. He should be the coach of the year this year. But this is a tough matchup for them going against the defending champions. I mean, the Warriors are just a different animal when they get into the playoffs. They just know how to win. They know
they play a lot of basketball. They've been in the championship for how long?
And they've been together for a long time as a team. They've been together as a team for a very long time. So they have that chemistry getting ready when you get into the thick of things. And like Cleveland, Sacramento is just getting their first taste of playoff action. Yes, it is playoffs. You never know. But sometimes experience does play a factor in these games. And the Warriors are loaded with playoff experience, and Sacramento is just getting that first taste.
Warriors loaded with championship experience.
I'm not counting them out. I'm not counting them out.
Well, here's the thing that people don't bring up. Go ahead, Mac.
No, I was gonna say that team is fully loaded with championship experience. You know what I mean? So this is a tough draw for the Sacramento Kings. It's just good to see the Kings back in the playoffs. I mean, those good King teams in the earlier 2000s, Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic and those guys, man. Those were fun teams to watch.
Oh my God,
yes, Jason Williams.
Great teams to watch.
I love Peja. They were fun. They were fun when basketball.
And it's just good to see this team. Yeah. Good to see this team back in the postseason, man. I think they do have a tough draw, though. The Warriors are just so seasoned. I know the Kings got the home court advantage; they're number 3 seed. But let's face it, man, they're not really that much above the Golden State Warriors, and when it comes to reality, it's just too much experience there. I think Golden State's going to get them in 7, man.
Well, if they go 7, that's a testament to Sacramento.
Golden
State beating them. But I'm saying like Sacramento. But the fact that they can take that team to 7 would be a great accomplishment for not only Mike Brown but a team that needs to build. And what I meant to say was fatigue. These teams, the Warriors, have played a lot of basketball over their years, so their body is accustomed to getting into this type of extra game mode. If you haven't played extra games, you're a little bit more tired when your body doesn't have the recovery. You're normally in the off season, and this does matter because when you do get down to the stretch of it, and your body's hurting in ways that you never thought it could hurt because you're in a playoff game that your body normally doesn't play, and those Warrior guys are still running around like they're 20 years old out there, it does change you. And then mentally, what will they do? I hope they win. I hope they beat the Warriors. It would be a great story. I don't think they're going to, but hey, you're the 3 seed. Here's the way the Kings can do this, right? Mm-hmm. The Warriors tend to be lethargic sometimes starting out series. And if you can jump out on them early and win the 2 home games that you need, you might have a puncher's chance at beating them. If you do not, and you struggle in the thing, and you can't get over, because the Warriors are always going to have that tidal wave of points. They always do it in their games. They remind me of the Mavericks back in the day. The Mavericks used to let you run up and down the floor, then they just turn it on, in a heartbeat, and before you knew it, you were losing the game, right? The Warriors do the same thing. They kind of lull themselves to sleep, get bored, and then they realize, oh, we're playing basketball. In a blink of an eye, they're down 20. Now they're up 10, right? So if the Sacramento Kings can not get in their own heads and not get scared of the big bad Warriors, who, again, the 6th seed doesn't really matter to them where they land. They're in the playoffs. They don't care. They just want to be there, right? Steve Kerr.
What seed were they last year when they won the championship?
I think they were
They were like, there was like a lower seed. I think it was like
They were
six,
not. They were
five,
not.
They were like a
Yeah,
4
they
or
were
5.
not.
They might have been a 4 or 5 or something like
Let me
that.
see.
They were like
Yeah.
they were like I think a 4 or 5.
I thought they were like us. I thought they were lower than that.
No, I think they were like
No,
a
not
4 or
last.
5 seed. I
They
think
were like
Mac
a
was
4 or
right.
5 or
Yeah,
something like that.
probably a 4 because I think they did have
But
home court advantage in the first round.
one thing for certain, and
They
two
were
things for
they were a
sure,
third
man.
seed.
That game one out in Sacramento. That game one out in Sacramento is going to be that arena is going to be absolutely
Lit.
raucous. That's
It's
for
gonna be
damn
great.
sure. They are
Saturday, I know where I'm tuning in.
So,
Saturday,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. 8:30 appointment television, baby.
I
My
was going to
God.
ask you guys
yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Out of
man.
all the first round matchups that are right now confirmed, not including the playing game, which one of the matchups intrigues you the most? Like
I think
out of
this
all the
one.
matchups you got, I think it's
think
the
this
Knicks and the Cavs. I think the Knicks and the Cavs series is going to be
Yeah, I
phenomenal.
think that's going to be
really
a
do those
really
series.
good series.
That's going to be a great series.
I
A lot of
think.
young talent on both of those teams. I think that's
Yeah.
going to be a great one, Jeff.
I
agree.
honestly think the Golden State versus the game we're just talking about. Because if you think about it, like this is like I'm not trying to disrespect like the Nuggets and like the Grizzlies and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like this is the team. Because don't let, like Adam said, don't let Golden State get comfortable.
Agreed.
Because if Golden State gets comfortable and they win this series, Golden State's going to the finals. Like. So the Kings, and you guys all watch basketball this season. The Kings are hot right now, and this is the, if you're gonna eliminate Golden State, eliminate them in round one. Don't let them go and get comfortable and then start like balling. You know what I'm saying? Go, and this is the team to do it. The Kings is the team to get them out. The first game is at home. Get the early momentum. You know what I'm saying? And remove them. And I bet you all these other teams like the Nuggets and all these other teams want them removed, and the Suns, they want them removed. So it's kind of like this is the team to do it. Like get them out now, because if they don't, yeah, the Warriors are I'm not trying to overlook teams. I get it. I understand who the Suns have. I understand who these other teams have. But if you don't get it done, as history you repeats, he's chasing legacy. He's going for another one, and they have championship contenders on that roster that been there before that's going for another one, and they're going to be hard to put out.
And the thing is too, I think the difference between the two conferences, I believe the Western Conference is a lot more wide open. I think there's a lot of teams that could come out of that conference and win in the Western Conference. Where I believe the East, I don't know how you guys feel. I'd be shocked if Boston or Milwaukee is not coming out of that conference. I think that's a more top-heavy conference compared to the West, where I believe it's wide open, because I think I could see Phoenix come out of that conference. I could see Sacramento. I could see Golden State, Memphis, Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot more wide open than compared to the East, where I believe Milwaukee and Boston are clearly the top two teams in that conference. So, I mean, that could be a part of the reason too.
Yeah.
So, but you never know. It is the NBA playoffs. Anything is possible.
Real quick before we move away from the NBA, let's touch on how you guys feel about this Minnesota Timberwolves debacle. Say Rudy Gobert punching his own teammate, man. How do you guys feel about this as they're heading into a playoff game against the Los Angeles Lakers?
That coach should be on the hot seat for something like this, where you have your teammates punching each other in the faces, and then you have another player on the team who's punching a wall and fractures his hand, who's a starting point guard on the team. That head coach should be under fire for not having these guys, in line. I mean, Gobert, I don't know how you guys. I might even think about suspending him. I mean, if you're doing that type of
you might just cost yourself the playoffs.
contract detrimental to your team. Yeah, and that too. I mean, you have two prominent players on your team that are going pretty much having Fight Club against each other, and one of your top players on the team is punching a wall and fracturing his hand. That's irresponsible when you're right in your playoff. You're in a playing game.
Right, they're in the playing
Lakers.
game. You have a chance to be there, so I don't understand. Listen, Rudy Gobert, what I look at when I saw the footage is a punk, right? You want to square up with your friend, go square up in the locker room. There's been plenty of fights in the locker room. Hell, Chris Mamalanga got his ass kicked by Michael Strahan in the locker room because he was trying to be the bully of the team, and Michael Strahan was having none of that, right? So you want to hash out your differences, go do it behind closed doors. It just goes to show Minnesota, who can't deal with prosperity right now because they're fighting for a playoff spot. You need your star player. Jeff, I guarantee you that I don't know if he'll be suspended because it wasn't against another team per se. Like, he didn't swing against another teammates, fighting. I don't know. It's just a bad look. I don't know if they're going to suspend him per se. It's not like he was fighting the other team and saying, hey, they were doing blows. They're fighting their own team. So we'll see what happens there.
That'll get handled probably by the organization, I would think. Probably handled more so by the organization.
I mean, he might be benched. He might be suspended by the team. That's something that's something that could be discussed. But I don't think the NBA is going to be like, oh, you're doing anything. I mean, Gobert is, you're 6 foot, you're 7'1", right? You're hitting a guy who's a lot smaller than you, and not only you're doing that, you run away. You punch a guy, then you ran away. Like, dude, that's like with Ron Artest.
He tries to punch Kyle Anderson in the face, and he's running away.
I like to say that.
Like that. You punch. Like, what is this? What?
When watching the footage, because it looks like they're in a huddle, right, and they're yelling at each other, and then Gobert, as a veteran, mind you, shouldn't even do that. Like, it kind of lean. It's like a lean-in punch, like a little
at least
jab.
Hit in his face. At least
and he backs up, Mac. He backs up. Like, why are you backing up?
Get ready to punch him, and then he just runs away.
When Anderson goes and pushes towards him, go get him.
Everybody had this fighter growing up. It used to be the kid that did the backwards jab, right? He would always throw the jab, but always go backwards, never go forward with his jab. That was Rudy Gobert. He was like, I'm going to jab you, but I'm going to go backwards instead.
Devon.
This is never a good look. It's not a good look. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I didn't see it, but you can't put that out in the public. Some things got to be handled behind closed doors, like gentlemen, man. You guys, teammates, you're gonna be in the locker room. You take care of that shit in the locker room, like you said, Adam.
This is worse. This is worse, in my opinion.
You don't put it out there on Front Street. You don't do things that can injure yourself. It is. It's crazy. It's dysfunctional down there over there in Minnesota. But fellas, we're gonna move on.
Apparently the Clippers had an argument too.
On that.
The Clippers had a fight too. Apparently Bones Highland and Mason Plumlee had to be separated as well. What the hell is going on with these teams? They're all trying to beat each other up.
It's finest, man. But let's move on to baseball. Let's touch on baseball before we start wrapping things up tonight. Season underway. The New York Mets has been up and down this first couple of weeks, man. The season for the Mets went out there, won their opening series against the Miami Marlins. Then they unfortunately went and got their asses trashed by the Milwaukee Bucks 3 straight games. First 2 games, Brewers. They didn't even score a run. The Milwaukee Bucks. Brewers. I'm sorry for correcting that. Brewers against the Brewers.
Might as well have been the Bucks at this point.
And they lost today. They still won the series against Miami once again. Like they're going to win another series against Miami here, even though they took an L today. Cookie Carrasco, he's starting to really make me a bit nervous. He has had 2 very, very poor outings so far to start this season off, Jeff. Man, I don't know how you feel about it, man, but he has been very, 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 very terrible. Both his starts have been. He was getting hit the pitch count. And today he just got 6 runs on 6 hits. Like, what? I don't know what's going on with this guy.
By the Marlins.
It's been a mess. The Mets have been, like I said, it hasn't been anything spectacular yet. Pete Alonso he's the polar bear. He's gonna get his. And Nemo's off to another good solid start to this season. Another thing with the Mets bother as you saw today, Starlin Marte. Proving once again, man, this guy can't stay on the damn field, man. He's injured so much, man. He's always getting hurt. He's going to be left the game early. He's going to be out getting evaluated. So we'll see, man. We'll see what's going on with this New York Mets team, man. But like I said, it's early in the season. A lot of baseball to be played. But so
This is a
far,
Mets
you know,
story every year.
oh yeah,
though.
Kodai Senga. I got shout out to Kodai Senga,
He
man.
was great.
He has been pretty sensational, man. Pretty sensational. He's been everything that Carrasco hasn't been in his first 2 starts. Cody
Hey,
Senga's
Tommy.
been that and more, man. So shout out to Kodai Senga, man. Absolutely good one, man. Vance, thanks for bringing his name up.
Yes,
Jeff, how you
Kodai Senga's
feeling
been a
about the
beast.
Mets start to the season, man?
Well, I mean, Brandon Nimmo has been a little bit of a concern to me. He hasn't been hitting the ball at much at all. And I mean, McNeil's off to a little bit of a slow start. Alonso, who was off to a terrible start in the first couple of games, is now starting to get his back going. I mean, Lindor is starting to hit the ball a little bit better now. I love the fact, and one of my favorite things about this game today is you got to see the young kid Francisco Alvarez get an RBI today. And I want to see, I don't know how you feel, Matt. I want to see the kids. I want to see the kids. Get Brett Beatty up here soon. You already see Alvarez. Get that kid Ronnie Mauricio up here. Maybe get Mark Vientos up here. I mean, Cookie Carrasco has been abysmal in his first couple of starts, but we have no choice. We have to pitch him because we have no pitching prospects right now, and because of the fact that Quintana is out until probably July or August. So we're going to have to hope that Carrasco is going to get it going. And Tyler McGill's had an up and down first couple of games. I mean, David Peterson had a bad game his second game. He pitched pretty well his first game. Scherzer has not really looked great in his first couple of starts. It's good news about Verlander, at least. It sounds like it's a possibility he might be ready to go by the end of April. I mean, the Mets have just been so up and down, up and down, up and down this so far to begin this season. I mean, they got to try to get themselves a little bit more consistently at the plate, as well as in the pitching staff. The pitching staff is what scares me the most. What's going on? No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. The pitching staff scares me a little bit more than the hitting, because I do believe McNeil, Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, those guys will be able to turn it around. I think Escobar is going to be able to at least get a couple hits. If he doesn't get it done, you can bring up Beatty. You have young kids in the farm system that could come up and give this team a jolt. The pitching staff, that's a different story. We have nobody else. We have no young assets in the minor leagues that could come up and give this team a boost. If Carrasco continues to pitch bad, if Scherzer continues to look bad, if Peterson and McGill are up and down, Senga right now is the one that gives me the most confidence in this team so far at the beginning of the season. He's been great. He looked awesome yesterday in his start against the Miami Marlins, albeit is the Miami Marlins, but still that forkball seems to be giving the opposing hitters a lot of problems so far. But the Mets, I'm wondering when Stevie Cohen is gonna start thinking about maybe making a move, because Vogelback has been up and down too so far to begin the season. But like you said, it's only been about 10 games, like 8-10 games so far this season. There's still plenty of time for this team to continue to turn it around. But the bullpen has been a little up and down too, but I think there's still plenty of time for this team to really get it going.
Well,
go ahead, guys.
And
with that being said, the Yankees are off to a hot start. Not as hot as the Rays, but a hot start nonetheless. And this is why you pay the man. Aaron Judge going yard again. I mean, the guy is having a great season. The only problem I'm having with the Yankees is this is the typical Yankees. They score a lot of runs.
Wow.
They'll be pretty. They'll do a lot of good things. But then come playoff time, those bats will get cold. So while I am excited, it just seems like a rinse and repeat of start of last year, right? So we'll see what happens when the postseason comes. I really like Volpe. I hope he does well, as he's growing into his role. I think he's going to be a decent player, and this Yankee team is headed in the right direction. But again, it's not really about the regular season for the Yankees. It's more about the postseason. That's where they've come up short the last few years. I don't know what happens if they do that this year. Will it be time for thinking about a manager change? Who knows? We'll see. But they've got to figure out a way to get over the hump later in the year. I'm excited that they're doing well. I'm loving that they're hitting, and their two big guys are hitting. Stanton, Judge, they're both doing well. But again, we're in April. I need these guys in September, October. That's when I really need these.
This is for you, by the way, Adam.
I mean, there's only 2 teams that have a better record than them now. Only the Rays and the
so
the
they're
Rays
second
and the Brewers have a better record than the Yankees in all of baseball.
I'm sorry that they're not 9-0, but they're second in their division.
Speaking
of that, and they're scoring
Speaking
runs.
of 9-0,
Do you worry
So-
about their pitching though, because
I
of the
like
fact
the
their
Rays.
pitching has been so up and down and banged up?
Yes, I do. But I think they overcome that with their scoring. I do. So
Mhm.
if the thing is when you have pitching woes, if you outscore the other team, that doesn't really matter, does it? Right. So that's what the Yankees do is when they start to hit and they have good. I think it'll come into play later in the year when the games get tighter and the
Thank
pitching
you,
gets a little
Randy.
better. You know what I mean? I think that's when you'll see the deficiencies
Have a
go
good
down.
night.
I wouldn't be surprised if they made a trade at some point to try to get some more help with that pitching staff. But we're right now in April. I'm not worried. Like I was going to say, talk to me in September and October, and we'll be good. You know, like I said,
How
Aaron
about
Boone may not be the guy, but we'll see. It's play New York baseball. Yankee baseball is about the postseason. It's about winning World Series. That's what it does. If you make the playoffs, that's good. But if you're consistently doing what Aaron Boone does in the playoffs, making flubs, not having his teams ready to play, not generating runs, having your teams fall apart, you will
Mhm.
end up on the unemployment line.
And both teams, the Yankees
Well,
and the Mets, have both gotten off to hot starts, and we saw what happened towards the end of the season. They just both fell apart. So hot starts at the beginning, it's nice and all, but like you said, Adam and Mac, you both said it correctly. Talk to us when we get towards the playoffs and how both these teams look down the stretch,
Right.
because that's when
If we
both are
make it.
faltering.
Because injuries
Well,
haven't
look.
beset the teams yet. So
Speaking of hot starts, no team in quite some time has gotten off to start the Tampa Bay Rays are off to right now. I mean, they're 9-0, and they're not only just 9-0, they are absolutely obliterating the competition. They have scored 75 runs, and they have only given up 18 runs thus
Okay,
far
Randy.
at this point in the season, man. I mean, obviously, baseball is a long season. Clearly, nobody's going to go undefeated. But at the end of the day,
but I feel like they
how
need to
good
have
do
a
you think
hot
this Tampa
start.
Bay Rays team can really be? How
Well,
good do you think this team can truly be?
I see. Here's the problem with the Tampa Bay Rays. Their history scares me. Every time I think they're going to be good, they somehow flub it up. Right? Like they've been hot starts before and have choked down the stretch. Whether they couldn't get over the hump or they go into this slump. So we'll see. We shall see. Remember, they have the Bombers in their division who are going to be nipping at their heels, and that will be the true test. If they can get through the Yankees, and keep getting through them every year and not choke, the Rays may have a shot. I don't know how far they're going to go because, again, the Rays, to me, at least when I've been watching baseball, have always been the same team to me. They start hot, they look good. You think you get behind them, and then they end up, falling by the wayside.
I know that's not a hot start. Pitching is not good. Yankees are not scoring a ton of runs. One game better than the Blue Jays, and Toronto ain't. I think Blue Jays are a good team. I know it's early, but 6-3 ain't a hot start. I mean, it's better than being 3-6. I mean, you have to think about that. It's not like they're the
Okay, so
opposite.
I
They're off to a
understand
hotter start than we are.
if the Giants are 6-3, we're saying they're off to a hot start. I mean, they have a better record than they're winning. The pitching is not
What's up,
great, but
Almighty?
we're talking about April. We could be talking about the Mets who are struggling in games, right, to get out the gate, right? But we're talking about the Yankees who are doing what they need to do to win the games against the lesser opponents that they're beating. Yes, they're not beating world beaters yet. I mean, they lost to the Phillies, right? They lost to the Orioles. So I mean, 1 out of every 2 games ain't bad, right? You're winning series 2-1. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
add to
but
this
like you said, it's
conversation.
still so early.
I don't really watch baseball, but like what Max said, yes, the Tampa Bay has been killing the competition. They're up 11-0, beating Oakland today, and it looks like Atlanta just finally scored again after being down 10-1 against the San Diego Pirates or Padres. Well, they scored a point, so go Atlanta Braves.
O's
That's
have a
it.
lot
That's
of
all
good
I
Well,
young
want to say.
my
players on the
question,
team.
my question to you guys is, what is your feeling about this pitch clock? How has it helped speed up your games watching for you
I
guys?
like it.
Has it changed the experience?
I don't mind it at all.
No,
I don't mind it at all.
I like it a lot because it's cutting some of the time, man, from these games. It's really cutting the time down, getting these games moving along a lot faster. And it doesn't really appear to be that much of a factor anyway. It just lets you see that before the pitch clock, these guys were just kind of bullshitting around, taking their sweet ass time unnecessarily because the pitch clock is definitely working out, man. I agree. It just moves the game along a lot faster. Like I said, and it's really not no excuse. It's proving that there's no reason you can't get you can't pitch at that rate. You know what I mean? There's no
Has
point.
it affected the stolen base percentage?
Baseball. It has. It absolutely has. The stolen bases are up. Stolen bases are up. They're up.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more people still now compared to before. Absolutely.
So in that regard, you're generating technically more offense, right? Because you're generating more steals and more runs, and that excitement.
It brings the old school game back. It brings like the old school concept of baseball sort of back to where it was previously, and what like small ball concept a little bit, which you enjoy.
Yeah.
I guess it's mainly
all the comments in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, it might have something to do with the fact that if you're at a baseball game, of course you want to sit there and enjoy the baseball game because a lot of people like sitting there for hours just hanging out at a baseball stadium. Well, I feel like an old hat that likes doing that kind of stuff. A lot of people
I don't mind it, but like sometimes
being at baseball games for hours. I don't mind.
I need to see the pitcher scratch his balls like 10 times while he's trying to talk.
Exactly.
Hurry the fuck up, man. Let's go. I got things to do. You know what I mean? I've been in the baseball game where I'm sitting there. I'm like, we're still in the same batter. Like this guy, they come out to the mound twice already. You know what I mean? So
no, you're right. You're right.
I enjoy it. I thought it would be a little bit more like I think they're going to get it to 3 hours of running time. I think they're going to say, oh, we have 15 minutes to play with in a time slot. So you're going to probably see a couple ads, as they figure out how to insert ads here, insert ads there. But hey, anything to speed up the game of baseball, I'm in favor of. I've been there on the cutting room floor doing games where the Oakland A's played 17 innings in the Bay Area and you're on the East Coast and the game just continues on and you have to put that game on a highlight package. Yes, if there was a pitch clock back in those days, I would not have been leaving the studio at 5 a.m. sometimes and then having to come back to work.
The Tampa Bay Rays have the lowest payroll in baseball. I think it's the Oakland Athletics or the Kansas City Royals.
They have one of them, right? I know
they have one of them, but I don't know if they are exactly the lowest. I think the A's might be the lowest.
I know that they have. They're one of the reasons why people don't like the revenue sharing that goes on because big teams make this big money and they can't even.
They don't like our owner, Mac. They hate our owner. They can't stand our owner because he goes out there and he spends all that money on players. But I love it.
Hey, listen, if you're a Met fan, you got to love the direction your ownership has taken you, right? You've gotten you a decent manager. You're bringing in decent players. You're a decent ball club since about, the year you went to the World Series, 2015 or something like that. But that team was a shooting star. Like you just got hot and, your bats were there. And unfortunately, it didn't end up well with you with the Kansas City Royals. But, hey, things happen for a reason. But I think this is I would not please don't pull the plug on Showalter. Just let it ride out. Let him see this through. If it doesn't go well till the end of his contract, fine. But I feel like a guy like Showalter can build the Mets in the direction that they need to go to be a contending team. But you just got to let it manifest.
I don't think Steve Cohen's that type of owner to allow him to get pulled. I think they're going to go ride it out with Showalter as much as possible. And of course, we love it. We had to deal with the Wilpons for how long? Like 20, 30 years, where we pretty much wouldn't even spend to keep our own players.
And your Ponzi
the Ponzi stuff. Now we actually have an owner that's not afraid to go out there and spend a bunch of money on good players. Daniel Murphy, that's one right there. The dude went over to the Washington Nationals and won the damn batting crown after he had a fantastic 2015 season. We let him go for nothing. If we had Steve Cohen at that time, Daniel Murphy would have been locked up to a contract long-term with the New York Mets. That's what we have now compared to what we had previously. That's what gives us the most hope, is that we have an owner that will go out there and he's not afraid. If this team needs upgrades, he will go out there and make the moves necessary to upgrade this baseball team compared to what we had previously. Sorry, go ahead, Mac.
No, Levance, the Houston Astros have the lowest payroll in baseball, man. The Houston Astros.
That is insane.
It's hard to believe that, but it's the Houston Astros.
Because they know how to develop players. They know how to bring up players from that farm system and develop them. That's why.
But fellas, it's been 2.5 hours, and it's been a great show, man. But I think it's about time to wrap things up, man. You guys have any final thoughts? Thing you want to get
I
off
like to
your
say
chest before
I
we wrap
looked it
things
up when
up?
you guys was talking. Um, these this baseball game went for like 8 hours on like 25 minutes, like one of the longest games of all time. I'm like, damn,
Yeah, there's probably
that's
like a
crazy.
ton of extra innings and
It's like
stuff. That's
33
just
innings.
why. Yeah,
What? That's
but
awesome.
no, I just
My
want to say
last,
thank you everybody that was here in the chat and being here and supporting us through the past 2.5 hours while we scream and yell our lungs out about the WWE, AEW, baseball, football, basketball, everything. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
just want to say
Absolutely.
thanks.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for reinvigorating us to do this show. Without you guys
Yes,
chiming in, saying, "Hey, we miss premium takes," or "Hey, when are you doing that show with the Four Horsemen?" It's because of you guys. We do this where we sit here for 2 hours behind a computer screen and just talk. And I want to say thank you to you guys. I want to say thanks to you, Horsemen, for always keeping our heads in the game and always getting us up and doing this. I know it's a busy thing to keep four superstars like ourselves schedules to coordinate. So I thank you guys for always being accommodating and helping out a guy like
why do you
myself
have a
who
Darth Vader PFP as your? Are you a kid?
I'm a 40-year-old man and I like
And
Star Wars.
everybody,
What's your
man.
fucking problem?
He's a man. He's a man. Come on.
What do you like, Harry Potter? I mean,
Well,
give me a
everybody,
break.
man, do want to say thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Premium Takes podcast. Hope everybody had a very good Easter, spending time with your family, friends, whatever you do. You know what I mean? I really appreciate it. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Zion's channel, subscribe to Adam Costas, subscribe to NYG Jeffy T, sub up to the Hardcore Sports Network. And until next Sunday, it's the Four Horsemen, man. We saying, hey!